Like a pair of heavyweight prize fighters, Butch Miller and Kevin Sawinski have traded body blows throughout the ASA season in pursuit of the series championship. But just as a boxer relies on the backing of his trainer and cornermen, a racer turns to his crew chief and pit crew for tactics and support. Since the first green flag over 6 months ago, the number 1 and 52 over-the-wall gangs have performed brilliant displays of pit stop footwork, while the crew chief tacticians have devised strategies that quite often are the difference between being victor or vanquished. Tonight, legendary Salem Speedway hosts the ASA Championship battle in a 300-round title bout. So, let's get ready to rumble!
The tail of the tape will show that the 97 champ, Kevin Sawinski, will have a chance to dish out the final blow for the 2003 championship here tonight. He's amassed 4 wins this year, and including tonight, now has put this car on the pole 5 times. There's no question that the cornermen have been nothing short of spectacular, and his trainer, well, that would be none other than Mike Chaffee. Mike, we've got to talk about the consistency of this team.
Boy, for sure, these guys have just been unbelievable. I mean, to be on the pole 2 years in a row here, that's just amazing. And you know, not only Kevin's done a great job, but it starts with all the guys. You know, and Country Joe is one big team, and the Joey Miller team, they're out in Phoenix watching right now, and they're a big part of this too. Bond, thanks a lot, man.
Standing in the opposite corner with a man that's also part of this championship bout, let's go to Rob Albright.
As Butch Miller wades into the ring tonight, he's had a championship season in all respects except points. 3 poles, 3 victories. He's completed all 3,800 laps, only twice has he finished out of the top 10. Just as he respects his counterpart in the ring, Kevin Sawinski, his number 1 cornerman, Dion Deneau, respects his counterpart, Mike Chaffee. Dion?
Well, it's been a great year for the Timberwolf team. Mike Chaffee and I, we worked together at AP Performance a long time ago. He's been my mentor, crew chief. So for us to be second right now against Mike, I love it. It's like a dream come true almost. This Timberwolf team's done a great job this year. Ken Smith, my whole team. It's been a great year.
Well, it would look like a 15th round knockout is what it'll take for Butch Miller. If anybody has it, he will.
Welcome to Indiana's far south. We're just about 40 miles north and west of Louisville, Kentucky lies Salem Speedway. We're here for the second to last round of the ASA National Championship. It's the Pep Boys 300, presented by Grease Lightning Orange Blast. Hi everybody and welcome. I am Greg Kramer, and as we get down to these last 2 races, including tonight, the focus is clearly on the points. Let's take a look at those point standings right now. Ken and Rob have already talked about that great battle right at the front, but how about the battle for 3rd, the young rookie? And the battle for 6th on back is 8 deep almost, with some great racing. But before anybody can worry about battling for championships or even going after points, they have to win the battle with Salem Speedway. It's a track many call the tough old lady, and it's a track every driver talks about worrying about getting a Salem stripe. Why? Well, my booth partner, Jimmy Trado, is down trackside to take a look at the biggest reason. Jim?
Well, Greg, there's an old motto here at Salem Speedway. If a driver can get faster on Salem Speedway, he can get fast just about anywhere. The main reason, well, this may look normal, but really, in reality, I'm on a 33-degree bank corner here in turn number 1. The speed's 110 miles per hour, average speed, very faster on this big half-mile racetrack, and they run at the fence in turns 3 and 4 here at Salem. To give you an idea of how tall that is and how high they run here at Salem, from the top of the wall here in turn 1 down to the apron, it's roughly the same height as a 3-story building.
Jimmy, you got that big mountain climber lane happening out there. Well, from turn 1, let's take you right back to the front of the starting lineup for those most famous words in all of motorsports.
On behalf of Grease Lightning, Orange Blast, and Pep Boys, gentlemen, start your engines.
And the fuel-injected V8s comes to life. This track is tough, and we asked 1995 ASA champ Brian Reffner to get the score.
Yeah, this place is quick and it gets your attention real quick. You head down into turn 1, about the middle of the track. A lot of bank there, it picks you up pretty good. And you shoot out onto the back straightaway. You carry a lot of speed down the back straightaway. Head into turn 3, aim right up at the top of the wall. You run the high side of the track. And you come out of turn 4, you're carrying a whole bunch of speed into the front straightaway.
And you only have to do that 300 times. Let's take a look at our race analysis. 300 laps, that's 162 miles, 32 starters, almost 200 grand in purse money. Pit window is at 100 laps, but being a 300 miler, 3 mandatory pit stops. Strategy comes even more into play. And when we come back, we're going to introduce you to the starting field for this second to the last round of ASA's national title chase. Speed Channel's live coverage of the ASA Racing Series Pep Boys 300 presented by Grease Lightning Orange Blast is brought to you by Pep Boys, work hard people, and by Grease Lightning Orange Blast, the official cleaning product of ASA. Welcome back, everybody. The field underway, and you'll note Kevin Sawinski has elected to start outside, as is the pole sitter's option. Let's take you right to our starting lineup. Sawinski is on the best pole run of the season. He's got 5 over Donnie Reavers in only a 6th start. Then Robbie Pyle and Mike Garvey. Now, Garvey's always fast. We asked his crew chief, Shane Tess, what do you do to set up for a track like Salem?
The biggest thing is just reinforcing your suspension. Flat tracks are pretty easy on components. The bank tracks are real hard on suspension components, so just reinforcing everything so they last all 300 laps.
Next couple of rows, Butch Miller, Rich Locke, Todd Cleaver, and Toby Porter, who's got a pole this year, but Ken, even more importantly, he's got somebody calling the shots who had a lot of success here last year.
That's right, Howie Leto won here last year with David Stremme. He also has 2 other wins and holds a track record here set in 96 with a time of 16:98.
Thanks, Ken. We look at rows 5 and 6. You've got Brent Downey, Travis Kittleson, Glenn Allen Jr., but Greg Stewart is there. He's been very quick all year. Earlier, we asked his crew chief, Gene Roberts, the same question.
This racetrack has so much banking and it's has so much character. It's a pretty rough racetrack. We have to change a lot of suspension pieces to accommodate the roughness. We don't want to have breakage and damage the car. So this racetrack is going to be pretty brutal on equipment tonight, so it's a little tougher.
Rows 7 and 8 bring us Chris Wimmer, Peter Cozzolino with 2 wins this year, Rick Beebe, and the number 10 of Greg Williams and Rob Albright all season long. This team's done a lot with a little.
Absolutely, Greg. He's put together a great group of volunteers, even recruiting his 17-year-old nephew to marshal the troops. I asked him why he seems to run so well on the high bank racetracks. He said all those laps at the high bank clay of Eldora. If you can go fast there, you can go fast at Salem, guys.
Thanks, Rob. Here's rows 9 and 10. Davin Seitz, Gary St. Amant, John Dial, and Brian Refner. Rows 11 and 12 feature Chad Wood, Boris Jurgovich, and Ed Brown, but Reed Sorensen much farther back than he'd like. We've got a special mention for him coming up here. Rows 13 and 14, Dassau Rohrig making his debut, as is Gadezi and Mike Cope returning. And our final 2 rows, Mark Cole, Chris Stump, Troy Wangren, and John Webb. So that is your starting lineup for this 300-lapper that is coming at us. We also are going to have some onboard shots for you to enjoy tonight. First of all, starting in the 7th spot aboard the Meyer Chevrolet will be Toby Porter with his great run earlier in the year in the car that won here last year with that team. Then, starting in the 3rd spot, the Citgo Chevrolet of number 63, Robbie Pyle, who has been on a tear as of late with not only some great qualifying, but a win. And then, of course, up front, qualifying on pole, the Orange Glass Chevrolet of pole sitter Kevin Sawinski. And, I mean, what do you say about the year that he has had, Jim? It has been phenomenal.
And the really neat thing about it is they've been so bulletproof. This team has been together for a while. Mike Chaffee was with Kevin Sawinski in 1996 and 1997 when he won rookie and championship years back-to-back. They both went their own ways and came back together at Country Joe Racing. They've really been magic. Mike Chaffee doesn't work in the shop. Kevin Sawinski really is the nuts and bolts behind the effort of this team when it comes to car preparation. And he certainly should be commended as well for his mechanical abilities as well as his ability behind the wheel.
He's so gifted at working on the car setup with Chaffee. We're going to go back in the pack a little bit, as I said, to 21st. This is not where Reed Sorensen wanted to qualify on a night like tonight, but something very special is about to unfold for him. As he sweeps underneath the green flag, he will clinch the $50,000 Rookie of the Year award. We talked to him earlier about that.
Well, it's pretty cool to be on the list of names with all those people that are on there right now, and you know, just to be in ASA was happy enough for me, and then to get Rookie of the Year, and you know, we're top 5 in points right now is pretty neat.
And he is going to be enjoying this moment. As I said, he just needs to take that green flag, and he's going to be the Rookie of the Year. And we all know what that could mean. Look at what happened with David Stremme. Let's head down quickly to Rob Albright, an update on Travis Kittleson.
Well, Travis Kittleson actually was the fastest qualifier for tonight's race, but he had a broken axle late in practice. That relegated him to a 2nd round qualifying effort. He'll start tonight from the 11th position, but he's strong. Ken?
We got to talk about temperature here, guys. During practice, it was 63 degrees outside. It's now 53 degrees and getting colder. Track temperature was 83 degrees. It's now 59 degrees. We've got 24 degrees on these very hard right-hand side tires. Well, it's going to be tricky for the first 10 laps. These guys don't want to cause an incident, but yet they still want to carry that big speed. Guys?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see in these temperatures with those tires how many laps it's going to take to actually build some heat up. There are going to be some guys out there that if they went with a little bit of a loose setup early on, Jim, that are going to be hanging on.
And they really had to determine that before qualifying. At 83-degree track temperatures, they had to make certain to make their call before qualifying for the start of the race.
You see Chad Wood. Let's get an update from Rob.
Trying to get into the top 10 in points. He came tonight sick. He's got standing by Gary Sherman. Gary has run 2 ASA races this season, has a lot of laps at Salem, both in an ASA car and a sprint car, guys.
Jim, you actually mentioned that Chad had to leave the driver's meeting to go lay down, so it's that crucial for him. Lights are out, pace car is in, and the green flies early, and that may have given the edge to Donnie Reavers, but no. I think he missed the shift, Jim, coming down that turn into 1 because he suddenly backed up big time.
Well, Donnie Reavers is the teammate for Country Joe Racing point leader Kevin Sawinski. He's not used to these starts, especially up front. His first front row start here in the series, a great effort qualifying, but this is what we've seen a lot of. Fast on the high banks, Kevin Sawinski, Mike Garvey, and Robbie Pyle right there in the picture, 1, 2, and 3.
I almost wonder now that I think about it, instead of a missed shift, whether he had nosed ahead, whether he backed off, right as the green flew. Either way, he went backwards and Sawinski right to the front, Garvey into second, and look at him take it right up to the wall there. Garvey looking a little racy early, showing the nose just a little bit. And you're going to notice, and you alluded to it, and we have apparently a caution on the track, and there it is over in the approach to turn 3.
Mark Cole in the 81 car looks like he got in the fence, and Troy Wanger, who had trouble in practice, got the car together, and the 32 rolling past the BF Goodrich sponsored car has been involved as well. But Mark Cole making his first start this year out of Evansville, Indiana. He ran the majority of the year last year, and unfortunately he's found the wall. You know what, we're lap 2 now? Already?
Yeah, well, we may have seen just what we were talking about, that first bite because of the cold temperatures and those tough tires. Now, one thing we're going to be really doing with you all night, we're really enjoying this, is we have asked a number of drivers, what do you think? Are you intimidated basically by the high banks here at Salem? And we're going to be going to break a lot with those comments tonight. And the first one we're going to have is from the gentleman who's second in the Rookie of the Year choice right here, Travis Kittleson.
It's pretty intimidating. It's high banked and bumpy. It tosses you around. Best way I can describe it is you got to have respect for the track. You know, 15 laps in a run, and after about 20 laps, the track owns you. You're
Pace car.
Welcome back, everybody. All season long, we've been talking about the giveaway from Meyer.com of the ASA's official pace car. And right there, you heard the engine start. Second guy to try it was Chris Wright, and he ends up your lucky winner of the ASA official pace car. And boy, was he enjoying that moment.
1 in 3 chance. I got to sit in the car as you saw in the beginning. This is a very nice leather trimmed interior. This is a sweet car.
Yeah, he gets it after tonight and after Nashville. Let's head down to Ken Stout.
Mark, that's got to be frustrating. You don't even get a lap in, man. What went wrong?
They put 30 car in the rear for some reason. I don't know, and I guess Travis is a pretty fast car. He wanted to get to the front a little quicker than what he needed to. I don't know. I know he's not trying to wreck me on purpose, but patience is what it's going to take tonight, and we just had a pretty decent car. This car, Greg Williams, and it's a good car. We put our drivetrain and stuff. First race we made this year, we qualified good. Travis just got in a big hurry and bumped us and got us up into the wall. I know he didn't mean to do it, but patience tonight.
Of course, guys, he's talking about the axle that he broke and he changed and had to go to the back of the field. Rob?
Troy Wangerin was a victim twice tonight, once in practice. I didn't think they'd get the car ready to go. Troy, your guys worked furiously to get the car ready, and now you're out. What happened?
Basically, one of the guys said they were just going to stay down in the beginning and just ride some laps, and he pulled to the bottom of the track and went to go around him, and he just stuffed me right in the wall. I mean, after practice today, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Guy broke, you know, wasn't his fault, you know, and I was right behind him, collected us. I mean, we had a good top 10 car tonight.
Pretty composed guy for the day that he's had, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It has not been a good day at all, and for Travis Kittleson, obviously, having that problem early and being done. Here's number 7, Gary St. Amand, who, speaking of years, has had a very interesting one. A little bit earlier, we spent some time with Gary and checked in.
Keeping all 4 fenders on the car at a tough place like Salem requires great communication between spotter and driver, but 2-time champion Gary St. Amand feels that perhaps there's been too much reliance on spotters this season. Gary, why?
Well, you know, early in the year, I had my mirror positioned in a place where I really didn't feel comfortable looking all around me, so I got to relying on my spotter. And one race where I didn't have my normal spotter, I actually moved the mirror, and it felt like I was driving a totally different race car. And with that, you know, I told some of the drivers in the drivers meeting that I feel like that's very important, being able to use your mirror and not totally relying on that spotter.
Gary, of course, trying to get back to victory lane for the first time in 2003, and he'll be ably assisted by fellow racer, rookie driver Scott Legacy. He'll spot tonight.
I talked to Scott as he climbed the steps. He said, I'm more nervous spotting for Gary than I would be behind the wheel. All the pressure's on me, whereas when I drive, it's, you know, I'm part of the deal, but now I feel very responsible and nervous because he's working with a two-time champ, and the team certainly is on a rebound here late in the season.
It's interesting, though, with Gary talking about something as when you have spotters, how something like a mirror can play that big a role simply in the feeling of confidence you have in your car. It's huge.
Well, Gary and Doug Lane worked well together as driver and spotter, and without that comfortability, like Mike Garvey's wife Lisa is his spotter, and they've been for a long time in communication. This is Lisa talking now about the restart, but that communication is part of the nature of what Mike does behind the wheel, and Gary didn't have that or the comfortability. So by checking that mirror, and a bigger mirror now, he's feeling like he's a lot better off.
We'll see if he's able to come up. He didn't have a great qualifying run, and right away, just like they did on the original green, these two, Zawinski and Garvey, start to just move away a little bit, and Mike Garvey again drops low, coming out of 4, trying to take a move. And we take a look now from the back of Zawinski, and there goes Garvey down way low into 1 and exiting 2. Garvey noses ahead, and we have a new leader. It is Garvey. As they get to turn 3, now they float up high, and Robbie Pyle is right there as well as they come out of turn 4, but Mike Garvey wanted to get to the front in a hurry.
Well, Mike Garvey's led to more laps than anyone else. 686 to Kevin Zawinski's 625 coming into this night. And Robbie Pyle is the third in that order. And when it comes to the high banks and experience early, these guys want to get a good rhythm, a good pace, and get some laps and some cars a lap down. When it comes later in the race, that'll be huge when it comes to pit stops.
There's Butch Miller taking a run at Donnie Reavers. The black car couldn't quite make anything work there. And Ken, at the start, Donnie Reavers went backwards. Any answers?
And we have Gary Reavers here, crew chief for Donnie. What happened at the start? Did he miss a gear?
Well, our plan was to try to get up in the upper groove right away. That seems to be the fastest way around the track. So we were just trying to get in position to start with.
Of course, guys, he had his best ever qualifying effort. Got a lot of help from Kevin Zawinski in the setup of this car. There's no doubt Kevin wants somebody else to finish in front of Butch Miller, guys.
Thanks, Ken. Boy, we're noticing a couple different lines there by Reaver and Miller. And the way Reaver, he runs up high in between 3 and 4, and then it's like he really slows down to get a turn. And Miller closes on him a lot. Let's see what happens here again. There he goes up high and then just about parks. And Butch dives low, but that costs him a lot of momentum coming out of the turn. And Reaver's able to outdrive him just in terms of acceleration at that point.
We noticed the different grooves as Ed Brown goes slow down on the bottom in the 60 car. Butch Miller's trying to be patient with Donnie Reavers. Reavers in a very narrow racing groove is not really a passable car right now. Butch, by going low, is setting up the pass, but again, enough momentum has to be given because it's a parabolic bank where it's actually going more banking into the outside of the wall in turns 3 and 4, making it very difficult to make a run on him. Now, Butch may have a chance here dropping down off of number 2 corner. That's another passing zone, but it has to be done and set by the entrance of turn 3 here with the 11 and the 22 chase each other.
There's a look at the 11. We're on board now with Toby Porter. He currently sits in the 10th spot. That's 22. That's Brent Downey right front.
And Brent Downey in the 22 car has actually raced the car that's won here before.
Well, for more on that, let's check in with Rob Albright.
You know, I talked to Brent Downey today, and I said, are you confident? He said, like no place else we've been. He said, I've got a number of laps here. I've run competitively here before. I think I can really run up front with these guys tonight, and he's proving it in the early going as he's strong, guys.
And the car he's racing is the car that David Stremme drove to victory here 1 year ago for that Meyer team that's now right behind him.
So you know the car is pretty well sorted here at Salem without a question as we watch this good battle for the 9th spot. And you can see the close battling going on up in front. We are very early into it. Only 19 of 300 laps complete here at Salem. Welcome back to Salem Speedways, the Pep Boys 300 presented by Grease Lightning. Great to have you with us. And there's Reed Sorensen, who just had a harmless little spin over in turn 4 that brought us under caution. And here's what happened, Jim.
Too wide with Chad Wood on the outside. Now Chad's going in the corner really in the racing groove, and look how low Reed got there. He got on the flat part, it washed up, and just Chad did get in the fence there. Here's a 25 of Mike Cope, a lot of experience here on the high banks, just getting on the binders in time, and Sorensen was able to keep it off the inside fence luckily. And yeah, he cashed in the 50 grand, but I certainly think he wants to cash in a better run. Getting on the flat here, that rookie driver learned hard that you got to be up in the banking in turn 3 to keep it straight.
Boy, and for Mike Cope, this is his first race back. He's missed the last 6.
Now check it out. Reed's already sideways. Look how far that car is going. He's already 110 miles an hour as he enters the corner, and even faster going into turn 3. And all the cars got wound down in a hurry.
Looks like, well, I wonder a little bit about Mike Cope, but we'll see how that works. It looks like Chad Wood, other than having a little bit of a...
you got the white wall, the Salem stripe,
yeah, he's got that. But otherwise, it looks like he may have got away with it. And it's been an interesting season for Chad Wood and the Wood Brothers Racing team. And I'll tell you what, that team continues to expand. We checked into it earlier.
I'm sure a lot of people look at our deal and they say 3 cars, you know, the guy must have a lot of money, but, you know, we're a very, very small team. You know, none of our guys are paid to come and do this deal. It's just all, you know, out of goodness of their heart, I guess you'd say. You know, they want to just go racing, and you know, my dad has put everything that he pretty much has into this deal to make it go. You know, we've been racing for a lot of years. He raced for a lot of years, and you know, he's put everything into it, and I can't say enough for him, because I mean, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this for sure. I mean, you know, I might have picked up a ride here and there, but this full-time deal is all because of him, and I can't say enough about him. Travis is maybe looking at running the full season next year, so I just want to get him some seat time and you know, get him going in these cars, and then you know, we're real close to top 10 in points as far as our team goes, so that's what we're looking to do, is get the top 10 in points these last 2 races. Well, it's been a lot of work running 3 teams, but it's definitely been a big help in a lot of respects. You know, having 2 other cars here with me at some of these tracks has been a help as far as setups, and with Rich Bickle driving one of the cars, it's been a big deal, because he's kind of been our R&D guy and kind of helping us out with some different setups where we definitely, you know, we wouldn't have the time to try them, and now we can try them with his car.
Well, look at this, guys. Early, Kevin Sawinski in, obviously unscheduled problems with the right side of the race car. As he came to a sliding stop in the pit, I heard something dragging on the racetrack. He's killed the engine. Now it's refired. We'll have to get an update just as quickly as we can as to what the problem might have been. 2 fresh right side tires appear to be all that they did. Maybe he just had one go down. We'll get back with you just as soon as we have an update. Guys?
All right, thanks, Rob. I mean, he was definitely not on the pace of Garvey, and it looked like he was maybe holding pile up a little bit. So I wonder if it was just maybe they started with too low a tire pressure or whatever, and decided to make a very quick and easy fix to it at this stage.
Looks like Kevin may be coming back in the way he's parading around the bottom of the racetrack again. The teams declare if they want to come in pit road by staying on the inside line of the racetrack, and he's now trying to get back in line, but he will have to start in the rear. It looks like the speed he's going, he's going to come back down pit road, but indications are that it might be 1 lap to green, so it could be a very costly move for what's soon to be a champion. This could be huge in the points, because if Butch Miller scores a lot of points on Kevin's problems, it's a whole new ball game come Nashville in 2 weeks.
Knockout punch, Rob.
Real quickly, Mike Chaffee, can you tell us what the problem is?
We have a sway bar eyelet that's broken on the left front. He's talking to me right now.
Okay, well, let Mike get back to the most important matter of business, and that is making sure that his championship leading driver can get in pit road and back out as quickly as possible, guys.
Well, they run a sway bar on the front of this car, and you can see it right there. That's what's let go. And what that does is now as that car gets into a turn and the outside loads, a sway bar, depending upon how it's set, will bring the inside along with that outside a little bit. And if that's let go, that car is going to be absolutely atrocious on the handling, especially up on the high banks.
And if he ground off that bolt, he might have ground off the mounting as well, which could mean getting out a welder and using a lot of laps down behind the wall and losing a lot of positions here.
Well, and what did we hear from the crew chiefs when we went through the starting grid? To a person we talked to, everybody said this is about endurance and reliability, and we're seeing already some of that come into play. And mechanical problems, boy, I'll tell you, they will just kill you sometimes. Here we go. Garvey just checked out on the last 2 restarts. We'll see what happens now with Sawinski not there. If he was wounded, we'll see what number 63 Pyle can do. And how about Rich Locke sitting there in 3rd? What a remarkable story. Only his 4th start for the car in white right there. Awesome job. Let's enjoy some sounds of speed. I mean, that is the sound of some cars running incredibly fast by a microphone, almost that thundering sound as the air goes through the mic. And you were talking about how they get so high over there. It's interesting. In turns 1 and 2, from that apron to the outside wall, it's banked, but it's a straight banking.
Fairly traditional,
bottom.
Yep.
You get over in 3 and 4, and right about after you just turn into 3, there's a huge curve. The top third of that banking goes much more radically upward, and that's why for a fast exit, you got to get yourself up high. There's a big bump coming in, it looks like, and they stay just below that and then float up onto that high groove and let her snort.
Unlike any other racetrack in the world, Salem Speedway all to its own has a very unique racetrack characteristic. See all those marks along there? That wall was white this morning. Teams have found their Salem stripe through practice and now already in the race.
Once again, just keep, I mean, they run that middle groove pretty much through 1 and 2 because it's really a horse apiece, high or low. But watch here now. Right there's the bump they avoid, and they're looking to float way high as they hit that. I liked what you called it, the parabolic curve. And meanwhile, thrashing going on in Kevin Sawinski's pit, and Butch Miller may be breathing a little hope again into this championship chase. We'll have to see just how long Kevin is in, but you called it. If they ground off that the attachment link to that, and they have to refabricate something, oh boy, not a good thing at all. And meanwhile, from on board, this is the shot no driver ever wants to see. Racing going on in the background, and you're sitting there just waiting it out. Mike Garvey leads by over a second.
They really are real intimidating, 3 and 4 especially. 1 and 2, just another corner, but 3 and 4, you run so close to that wall and it's so rough up there. I don't like coming to this place.
Man, those are some blue eyes here at Salem, Indiana, at Salem Speedway, and the kids got some great eyes too. Now there's some unhappy eyes. That's frustrating eyes right there. Kevin Sawinski, and he is chatting like crazy. He has fallen back to 29th. Here's Butch Miller, and Butch is running 5th. Now that may seem okay, but Butch is having a heck of a time trying to get around Donnie Reavers, and he's right in front of Cleaver. But as of this, if it ended right now, look at that. It slips to only 70 points, and there's life. That's a half.
It's over half, right? 149 coming in, and Kevin already led a lap and got the 5 points for scoring the McDonald's pole position as well. So it's anybody's ball game right now. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, and Ken, he wants to get by Reavers. I'll tell you what, he just can't get by him.
Yeah, interesting development here. Not only are you seeing that, and we are seeing that, but Dion Deneau is certainly seeing that. In fact, he sent one of his crew members over to talk to one of the ASA officials. They feel like Donnie Reavers is holding them up. Guys?
Well, it's interesting because Reavers may be holding him up, but he has taken a serious run at 3rd, which is now Pyle, because this guy, number 24, Rich Locke, is just absolutely booking Jim.
I talked to Rich this morning, and he said, I've never been to this place. It took me, I talked to him after the first practice session. He said, you know what, I cannot believe this joint. It's so cool, but I'm also kind of intimidated by the whole aspect of this place. I've never been to a track like this before. He likened it a little bit to a racetrack that's a lot smaller. He races at weekly, Slinger Speedway back in Wisconsin. High bank, but not nearly the power and the speed that you find here at Salem.
Let's check in with Rob Albright.
Well, I was going to say exactly what Jim just said. He shared the same thing with me. I guess when I asked him if he was surprised by his qualifying run, it was about 6/10 faster, I think, Jim, than his best practice run. He said a little bit, but we were really saving something for qualifying. He said, it took me a while to work my courage up to get up to the wall in turn 4, but once I got up there, I knew I was going to have something for qualifying, and he's really stamping himself as an early contender for Rookie of the Year in 04. Maybe it's a little too early to say that, but Jim, I believe he's trying to run for the whole series in Rookie of the Year in 04.
Yeah, give credit to Kurt Woodward, the team owner, and Terry Evans, the crew chief. They've really put together a program where they want Richie to get comfortable in this series, and his dad, Rick Locke, is here this weekend, and they're really looking at getting some sponsorship to run here full-time next year.
Look at this battle, and once again, Chad Wood almost got nosed into the wall. That is the battle for 14th, starting by number 10 in 14th and 06 Sights, then the 80 of Refner. Now Wood is down a lap. He's back there a little bit. So it's a pretty intense action that's going on out here right now. There's the 04 we're watching as well. He sits 17th. That's Dial. And here comes number 30, Kittleson, who, folks, is on the lead lap. He made a stop, but he's managed to stay on the lead lap, and he's quickly sighting his way up to the pack, 18th.
Kilson made 2 pit stops, and again, we mentioned he can no longer win their Rookie of the Year title because Reed Sorensen took the green flag, but there's still a lot of hope there to get a 6th or 5th place finish in the points this year. For Travis and this team, they're hungry for a championship run next year. They're trying to align themselves properly. I talked to his dad, Bob, for a while. They want to get it together. Bob Steele is doing great. He's on board for next year. They're looking for a little more help, and the way Travis is running, he's getting a lot of notice.
Well, and he did have the fastest time in qualifying, as we said. It was a bizarre little technical deal that ended up having to go back and end up running in the second round of qualifying. Greg Williams, we had a nice shot of there. He's now 14th, having a great day. Closing on the number 5 of Beebe, who's one of the real veterans. Then 44, Casalino, who certainly has had a great season here with a couple of wins. There's a good look at Greg Williams.
Something about Eldora in here. Greg Williams qualifies well, runs well here. He doesn't have a lot of money, doesn't test a lot of places. He was here last Monday with some other ASA teams to get comfortable here in Salem to do well for his home state. He's actually very excited about his run here tonight and wants to put in a good finish, perhaps his first ever top 10 in ASA.
And Rob Albright, the guy he's chasing, is Rick Beebe, who's one experienced driver.
Yeah, he sure is, Greg. And as we've talked about, Rick Beebe conducts the rookie meetings before each race. As he addressed the rookies today, he said, guys, here's what I want to tell you. You got to be around at the end. If you're around at the end here at Salem, it's a tough racetrack, you'll have a good finish. He said, and I can tell you from experience, he said, I think in my first 7 races here, I was around at the end once. So do as I say, not as I do. Go up, guys.
Well, that's a very, very good point. You've got to be there at the end, and he obviously learned the hard way. And we are watching now, and you'll notice, 07, that is a struggle right now for the car of Chris Stump. It's just been a tough day for him. And there is Kevin Sawinski, 30 laps behind the leader right now in 29th spot. But he's back out trying for anything he can get in terms of points.
And he's really not back up to speed yet. Chad Wood going around the outside. It takes a little momentum to get built up here, but we'll see if Sawinski can get back on the button. We mentioned that suspension component in the front end, grounding off the bolt or breaking the bolt. We'll see if he can get back up to full speed here.
Well, one thing you know Kevin Sawinski has is if that team and if Chaffee has said, don't worry about it, it's fixed, it's solid, he'll have no concerns confidence-wise about just going after it and letting it go. Well, this battle's starting to heat up once again. 63 Pyle. Right behind him, the 15 of Reavers. We go back a little bit further in the order. There we go. There's Pyle. You see, 24 Locke now. He had opened up a pretty good margin over Pyle, and that's coming back down. I don't know whether it's traffic or whether the car's going off or whether the rest of the group's cars are coming back to him a little bit.
16-year-old Travis Doss on that blue car, pulls to the bottom, lets the veterans pass as he's trying to gain lap speed and time here in ASA, and that's a wise move on Travis's part. If his car is not up to snuff and the leaders get by you, great move because it'll pay off for him. They know and respect that the abilities he has, when he gets up to speed here in ASA, he'll have a chance to run with these guys because they know he's not going to be a threat to run all over the racetrack.
Boy, Reavers drops way, way low through 1 and 2, but it seems to work for him just a little bit. Watch him down now into 3 and 4, and right there, we're on board now with Robbie Pyle, looking back at Reavers. Yeah, pretty much a standard line there, but Reavers does run a little lower than some of the others through 1 and 2. Seems to work for him. He's fending off the number 52 of Butch Miller. Now, as we said, we've been checking in with some of the drivers about, does this track and its high banking intimidate you? Well, we talked some rookies, we talked some veterans, and we're going to leave you with a visit with Robbie Pyle.
Well, I kind of grew up watching these places, but man, every time you come here, the first time you get on the racetrack, I know me anyway, I'll come in and say, I think I need to go out here again just to make sure. I can't tell you what the car's doing. It wakes you up the first time you show up here, but you know, it's just another racetrack. It gets loose like the place is tight, but you got to respect it.
Welcome back, everybody. Great crowd, as always, on hand here for ASA action at Salem Speedway. Loving the racing that's going on. Guy who's loving it an awful lot right now is number 17, Mike Garvey. The Jana King Chevy is gone. 3.75 seconds, 3 3/4 second margin he has got over Rich Locke, who still sits in second. And then there's some pretty good battling going on behind him, but Garvey is just gone. Now, battle for 8th, 9th, and 10th has been superb as well. 22 Downey still right there, having one of his best runs. Then the number 11 of Toby Porter has just been hooked up as well. And the 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. And there you see, that's Toby Porter. He is once again run down Downey. We've seen him do that a few times, but he's never been able to make it stick. Now we'll see. And now it looks like he's looking pretty good there. Oops, sorry, real slow down low.
One thing Brent Downey told me today was that he tested at Nashville Speedway on the fairgrounds where ASA is racing in 2 weeks to decide the championship, the final race of the year. He said, man, I didn't believe how much it helped me in getting around Salem Speedway. Just this past Monday, they tested there. Coming here, he said, I feel comfortable. Turns 1 and 2 kind of feel like Nashville. 3 and 4 is a whole different animal, but the confidence he had and the abilities he has are showing through here, running top 10 at this point in the race.
Well, you always hear the value of seat time. And I mean, that's it. It's just time in the car. It makes you a lot more one with that car, and it doesn't matter what kind of track you're on. You just get familiar with it. But on board here, once again, is Meyer Chevy, and watching this great battle. And Kobe's there, but he just does not have an answer for Downey right now at all. And we have a yellow flag, and it's a big one.
Travis Dassau.
Whoa.
A wild ride down the backstretch. He'll remember this race for a while. ASA, again, rookie hopeful next year out of Wisconsin. Hard lick, looks like he's okay.
Yep. Got the gloves off and getting all the accoutrement unbuckled so that he can crawl out, but he smacked it hard.
Man, look at that race car again. That's the car that Chad Wood told us about earlier. That's one of the cars they put together for Travis to run. Rich Bickle, the third team car for the Wood Brothers Racing, is not here this weekend. So, boy, what a rough break for Travis as he's trying to get, again, the last 3 races under his belt in consideration for rookie hopeful status next year.
And, Jim, here's a look at what may happen.
Up here, the 04, right there. Oh, it's just a matter of cars around real estate. That's Travis Kittleson flying through the air as well. So Kittleson trying to overcome those problems in the race. John DL in the 04 car. Let's look one more time here. Coming down the backstretch. It's already happened. This is Travis Kittleson down here. Reed Sorensen sneaks through. Man, was that a hard lick.
That was a great save by Kittleson once he got
Just got squeezed up right here. Kittleson squeezes into DL, the 04 car, the ASI Limited car, that puts Travis Dassau pretty much out of room into the fence.
Travis was really just a passenger in that one.
Now notice how it narrows up off of turn number 2 coming down the backstretch, and DL looks like he might have got a little fishtail there. We caught it just briefly, the blue back end of DL 04, and that really bottled things up.
There's another guy who's not real happy with how this unfolded, but again, I think that was more a racing incident. He just really, DL got squeezed and had nowhere to go, and that put him into the right rear, or the left rear quarter panel of Dassau's car, and he ended up with the big ride.
Travis is one of these even-keeled kids. Nothing really gets excited, but he's also like an 8-time snowmobile champion. He's been racing snowmobile kiddie karts since the age of 5. He's run go-karts. I mean, this kid has a lot of credit when it comes to winning races and knowing what it takes to run for points. And he obviously got out of the way earlier in the race, and now seeing him involved in this grinding crash, he didn't go pointing fingers. He's like, man, something's happened. This is Travis Kittleson's car right here, and a lot of damage there.
He is messed up, and I tell you what, when we were watching from Sawinski's car, a guy who got very lucky was Mike Garvey, because he was right in that melee with parts pieces flying everywhere, and I think he got away with one here, and he's going to be making a stop as well. But the story there, I think, too, was Kittleson. That car, obviously, he doesn't have to worry about Rookie of the Year anymore, but he was hoping to move up a little bit in the general point standings, and that car looks very damaged, and they are going fuel only on Garvey's car, fuel only, and their crew was helping him move up just a little bit, and there he goes. The concern, I would have thought that he would have been in maybe for tires, just having run through that debris field, but they got a plan.
Well, it's all a matter of what you can do. You can only do one or the other, fuel or tires here in ASA, and only 2 under any caution. So the thought there is the right side tires are so good. These BF Goodrich Traction TAs, they're so good, they might even change left side tires well before they change rights here.
Now, Butch Miller, during this pit exchange, was shown as leading a lap for a second, I believe. And that's why that margin now is, if it stopped as it is, Butch has shrunk the margin even a little bit more. He has elected to stay out and go for track position. And the number 15 of Reavers ducked in, and I think Butch said, good, I'm going to stay out and see what I can do about it now.
Well, that means Mike Garvey, who had that 3.5-second lead, gives that up for the pit stop, and Butch Miller yet to make a pit stop down pit road in the Timberwolf Chevy. Again, those 5 points more valuable right now than getting fuel or tires on that race car.
Oh, absolutely, without question. And Butch Miller also is one of the drivers we talked about does this track intimidate, or is it a pleasure to drive? Butch's answer was pretty interesting.
You know, if your car's really good, they're not intimidating at all. If your car's handling like mine right now, they scare the heck out of me.
Welcome back to Salem Speedway for the Pep Boys 300, presenting by Grease Lightning Orange Blast. Great to have you with us. There is a look at Kevin Sawinski. His day started great, and it has gone all downhill. We're riding on board with him. He was on the outside of the front row, had the pole, but Mike Garvey went by him and just checked out. And it was apparent that Sawinski was holding up some of the people behind him. And then this moment, and that was a sway bar link had let go, and it apparently ground itself right off the mounting attachment. So he was in the pits for some 30 laps while everybody else was racing while they got it fixed. He did get back out, but he has himself a huge deficit. He's in 29th, 31 laps back, and he's driving very well, very quickly, but nonetheless, he is way, way back in the order. Meanwhile, Butch Miller's shown in the lead, so this is an opportunity for Miller. We've been talking about the teams and the drivers and their cornermen. Well, a series has their cornermen too. It's the folks in race control, and Rob Albright took a look.
Unlike referees and umpires in stick and ball sports, ASA officials labor in a pressure-packed booth high above the racetrack. Assistant Race Director Ross Wellman, what are some of the spur-of-the-moment decisions you have to make?
There are a lot of things that we're watching. We have to know who's on the lead lap, who is a lap down. When a caution comes out, we're watching several things. One, we're making sure the racetrack is safe to go back racing. The other thing is that as a car spins, it's kind of our decision, our judgment call as to where that car needs to line up to be back in line and ready to go. Sometimes competitors don't always agree with those judgment calls.
And when those disagreements do occur, a driver just might find himself called to the carpet on the other side of these doors.
Sort of a penalty box, I guess, and there is a look at a very hard-working and dedicated group of special people, race control for the American Speed Association, and they do one heck of a great job. Here's Butch Miller, opportunity, Jim.
Butch Miller, Jim Trado in the Speed Channel booth. Do you copy?
I've got you, Jim.
Now, Butch, leading these laps are important for those 5 points. Has your strategy changed, knowing that Kevin Sawinski has had problems tonight?
No, I don't really think so. I think that Dion isn't ready to pit yet. I think we're going to try and have a little bit fresher tires towards the end. So we're going to hang on a little bit. Maybe the next time, come get some gas. And then our last 2 stops, we'll get tires and have fresh for the end.
Now, Butch, your strategy is what you just told us, but how is the car handling now? And considering how Mike Garvey checked out, do you feel you have a dominant car right now of those that did not pit yet?
No, I think we've got a really good race car. It's just, it's very difficult to pass on this place. You've got to have somebody cleared by the time you get to turn 3, and most of the time that's impossible.
Thanks, Butch.
All right, well, there you have it. That's what Butch Miller is looking forward here at the end of this one with a shot at the championship. We'd like to remind you, tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here in Speed, FIA World Rally action, the San Remo Rally. Don't want to miss that. Tomorrow, 9 p.m., right here in Speed. Now here's number 29, Reed Sorensen, qualified only 21st, and in fact has not had a great day. He became Rookie of the Year as soon as he got the green flag, but Rob, he's really been struggling.
And they're still struggling, Greg. I mean, usually when they come to the track, even if they're not at their best, they find the speed. They have not found it. I just talked to Brad Sorensen, Reed's dad and crew chief. He said, we're really not sure what's going on. We're just not good. He said, we pulled the spring rubber out. We're making some chassis adjustments. We've added fuel. We hope it gets better, but right now, we don't have a chance, you know, the way things are with the car at this moment. So when have we said that about Reed Sorensen this season, guys?
He's had a hiccup at Houston Motor Speedway, and his worst finish since then has been a 12th all season long. So as far as this API team with Port City race cars on board, they've really gelled this season and have put together what could be a championship run. However, the consistency of Butch Miller and Kevin Sawinski really kind of overshadowed Reed's consistent, strong run at top 10 after top 10 finish for a first-year driver here at 17 years of age.
Yeah, he's only 18th right now, and that is just unheard of for him. Here we go, green flag flies, and Miller leads it up. The orange car, Greg Stewart, the 22 of Downey, the 11 of Toby Porter, and behind them comes the 05. Let's get down against out.
You know, guys, Greg Stewart spoke to me a little bit earlier. Those guys came out here a couple of weeks ago and practiced. They came here for the first practice earlier today, completely changed the car. Greg said, you know what, I'm not happy with it, guys. Let's put it back the way it was a couple of weeks ago. What did that involve? Well, everything. Upper, lower control arm, spring, shock, sway bar, you name it, they changed everything on this car. But he said the second practice he was very, very happy with it, and he said the car is fast, guys.
Well, sometimes that comfortable chair is the one that ultimately lets you go a little quicker than that brand new super trick thing. And they obviously have opted to do that, but they've hit on a nice setup.
And there's a compromise there as well. If he's not that fast in qualifying, he may have a better race car, but they cannot change between qualifying and the race. Anything on the race cars themselves, they're impounded after qualifying.
Oh, we've got a big problem. Mike Garvey at an absolute crawl, and he heads right down into the pits. But Garvey, who did make a stop, of course, in that last pit exchange, something seriously amiss to stop under green and to do it so slowly. Something very wrong here, Jim.
And here at Salem Speedway, you can maybe make up a lap, maybe 2 laps at most, but that means if you get the cautions where they want, if he's on pit road under green flag conditions, serious trouble.
Rob?
You know, guys, it's a jack on the right side, air gun, and 2 right side tires. Obviously, the problem, one of the 2 right side tires has gone down for Mike. They feel that he might have run over some debris on the racetrack as a result of an earlier incident. Wow, the dominant car is having problems here this evening. Mike is trying to get the car fired, kills the engine, and now he's finally underway.
Well, if you remember, as we take a look at Butch Miller, during that replay from Sawinski's car of that accident, I said that was Garvey right in front who was darting through, and when he pitted and took fuel, frankly, I was surprised. I would have thought that tires would have been more of a concern with the debris. I don't know that that was it, but let's say the coincidence seems rather remarkable.
And Mike Garvey's still not up to speed as we watch Butch Miller sail into turn 1 and 2 here. 33-degree banking here at Salem Speedway. We talked about how this is a boxing match. Right now, Butch Miller's leading on everybody's scorecard. Kevin Sawinski, the point leader, 30 laps down right now at 29.
And Greg Stewart, though, having one of his best races. He's second, and he's a fast second. As we step away for a couple of moments, here's a good look at your top 10. Welcome back, everybody. The crowd enjoying a race. You see the gentleman stand up and point. That's why we have a caution, and it is number 10. That is Greg Williams, who frankly was in the midst of a fairly decent run here, and he smote the wall a little bit here as he came out of turns 3 and 4, and it just sort of ground to a stop right past the starter's stand on the front straight. So they had no option but to call a yellow.
No, and he came off of turn 4 very slow. Again, the very tricky balance of getting in through turns 3 and 4 because it is such a little bumpy characteristic there in turn 3 and 4. If you don't get it right, and Greg Williams has been great at getting it right tonight and when he tested and qualified so well, but something had to happen here as we see the 10 car sparking into the corner, and then it looks like maybe a tire has gone down already or he got in the fence. We saw the spark just briefly in that look through the wall. His camera's mounted in the wall in turn number 4 here at Salem.
It is a great look, absolutely. And there's the car stop. And so there is our safety director, the ASA safety director, out there taking a look, making sure that there's no type of fire or anything of that nature at this stage. Now, let's head down to Rob Albright with an update on Garvey.
Well, you can see the update right there. A very discouraged Mike Garvey unbuckling. The helmet is off, getting ready to climb out of the race car. Remember at the midpoint of the season how dominant he was late in the race at I-70, and then suddenly the car veered hard into the outside wall, broken steering rack. Same thing tonight. It was Shane Tesh at the top of our show that said you try to take care of all the parts that are really taxed on this high-banked racetracks because of all the downforce on the cars. This is one thing they didn't expect. 2 broken racks. Ken?
Well, as you can see, Butch Miller pulling into the pits. These guys are going to change tires, and they do have the wrench out to make a chassis adjustment as well. Jack goes underneath the left side, and of course, left side wheels and tires come off. Left front right back on. A little trouble there with that left rear. And it looks like the man goes to the front of the car, so we'll make a chassis adjustment to the right front of the 52 car. Everything's done. He goes back out, guys.
And you heard the clear over the radio. Ooh, and Greg Stewart, a longish stop. Obviously, they were putting every ounce of fuel they could get in that car, but he's definitely lost a little bit of ground, it would appear.
Just ahead was Brent Downey. Again, all these cars on the lead lap get the chance to pit first. Kevin Sawinski leading the lap cars now down pit road for their stops. And we see a couple of cars staying out, including Greg Stewart. Greg made the stop. Looking at how things shape up here. There goes the 43 of Frank Gaudesi. Again, the cars that are on the lead lap get to come down pit road first. That's why Butch Miller was in and out so quick. And now the lead lap cars are back out. And then come the lap cars, at least 1 lap down.
And here goes Miller regaining the track right behind Beebe. So that's where he's going to slot in at this point. But this is where it gets interesting. We talked about 300 laps. It's a 3 mandatory stop race. And it makes the strategy call all the more interesting because you have that extra option of what do you do when you make that absolutely mandatory stop. Now there's a good look at the number 25 of Mike Cope. He missed the last 6 races due to a string of accidents and damage and just needing to rebuild. It is great to have him back, And a little bit earlier, we decided to take a look at what he's been up to. It's great to have him back.
Well, it's good to see Mike Cope back here. Last time we saw him was at IRP. Since then, he had a trailer fire, and now you also have a new addition to the team. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, we had a little problem getting to Madison with the trailer fire, and it hurt us pretty bad, set us back a little bit. But during the off time, I finally got something done I've been trying to do for quite a few years. I got Scott Hansen lured over here to crew chief us these last 2 races, and we've got a pretty big deal we're trying to put together for next year that'll include Scott, and he knows how to get around here, so it's a pretty cool deal.
Scott Hansen is one of 3 drivers to win here 4 times, and in fact, the only one to win here 4 times that's ever done it on radial tires with the engine program that we have now.
Boy, I tell you, that pairing of Hansen calling the shots and Mike delivering, as he is an awfully talented driver. He's had some just abysmal luck this year, as you heard. And it's great to have him back with us, even though he's missed a few. And I hope he does get that great program put together for next year, because done right, I think he could be a gentleman who could definitely play a role here. So nice to see. Right now, though, your leader is the number 55 after pit stops of Todd Cleaver, chased by 2-time winner Peter Cozzolino. And Davin Seitz finds his way up in the top 3. Welcome back. We have just gone green and we are yellow. And the second place car of Peter Cozzolino got involved. It looked as though, we're going to have a replay for you, but it looked as though that the number 15 of Reavers involved as well. Cozzolino got squeezed right to the outside wall, about midway down the front straight.
Yeah, it was right at the flag stand, Greg, and what was interesting was the restart looked pretty mean and clean. I mean, Cleaver had a good jump, and then all of a sudden we saw a lot of smoke.
Let's see if we can see it right here.
It's already happened. Cozzolino's way up here against the wall, but again, he kind of got put there on about the start-finish line with the car right behind him.
Yeah, he definitely got help. It was a squeeze play of sorts. Nonetheless, he's got some pretty severe damage to that right front. You can see it is bent.
And for Peter Cozzolino, he's won 2 races this year, but this racetrack is very important to Peter. He won at the IRP, but he's also a native Indiana driver that has a lot of laps here, including in USAC sprint cars at Salem, and he really wanted to do well tonight. He tested here, and he had a really good shot running second at the time of this incident.
I think we have another look at it here. Here you go.
Notice right here, the yellow nose is that of Cleaver, but then watch how things bottle up here down the front straightaway, and boom, Peter gets turned right in the fence there, as it looked like he was on the inside. This car right behind him had a little bit of help involved in that whole process as well, at 06 of Davin Seitz. For some reason, Cozzolino went a little bit low, and somebody thought, hey, I can get to the outside of him.
Yeah.
Peter came back up and got high-sided.
Squeeze around the outside. There's the damage on the car, and it looks pretty deep. Let's check in with Ken Stout.
Well, it looks like the old lady stepped up and bit another one, Greg.
Yeah, we were trying to stay out of trouble, staying on the lead lap. That's what we planned to do, and something broke on the right front going into 3, and I was just along for the ride. I'm just glad the car didn't come back down across the track into the traffic. That could have been a little nasty.
You know, guys, we heard about that from Gene Roberts on the top of the show there. A lot of stress and pressure on these parts and pieces going around this high bank, guys.
Absolutely, and you can see it just guts you when something like that happens and you're having a good run like that. We want to remind everybody, tomorrow, 4 p.m., live from the unbelievable Virginia International Raceway, the Rolex Sports Car Series coming at you. Endurance racing on one of the most beautiful road courses you could ever visit. It's tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, right here, live on Speed. Let's check in again with Ken Stout.
Chris Wimmer comes in, gets a nice cool drink of water. They'll clean off some of the rubber from the front grille, and of course take on a lot of fuel as well. Looks like they made a chassis adjustment to the right and rear. A lot of fuel spillage there, and he gets right back out, guys.
Wow, the concern there is how much of that fuel was intended to go in the car that spilled on the ground. Rob?
You know, Gary St. Amant struggled in the early going, went a lap down, got it back. On the last caution flag, Chad Orr seemed to feel that they had a very good car. He had a problem with a right rear tire in a long run. That got him a lap down. They now really, guys, don't have to have another pit stop. They may make another pit stop if the leaders in front of them do, but they're good to go to the end. So, you know, Gary St. Amant goes from the back of the field a lap down. Now he's very much back in contention for the second successive race, guys.
Absolutely. Prior to this stop, he was up in the top 3. That's going to shuffle just a little bit. But if he's pretty much done, it gives him a good option as to what he needs to do. Same story developing for Davin Seitz.
And Davin Seitz was, again, a little bit caught up in that incident. I saw the team stringing the left side tires to make sure that they were at the settings they had, so they thought maybe some damage. We see that there's some tape there holding the left front fender on the scrapvinyl.com Chevy, and Notice how that's taped up. Again, these fiberglass body panels pretty much peel off in whole, and it looks like it may have broken away from those tabs, and they've had to make some repairs. And you see the nose damage as well. The hood is buckled up a little bit off the right front headline.
And this is a track with the average speeds they carry here, where the arrow is a little bit important. That's why I think they are absolutely set on trying to keep that nose on the car as long as possible, as opposed to what some other tracks, they may have just ripped that thing right off and let them go. But it's crucial here. But look at that. He's got tire rub as a result of that. That's what's happening.
And he was running third on that restart. So Peter Kozlino was second, and Davin was third. And again, that little move by Peter got everybody a little bunched up at the start-finish line.
Well, he's down low. He's going to come back in again, and obviously he's got to. They want to try and get that, if they can, off of that tire. And it's a quick stop. Ken?
Now we got Peter Kozlino. Peter, what happened out there? Looks like everything bottled up.
They battled up. Somebody tried to go on the outside of me, and there really wasn't room for it. And I kind of pinched him in the fence, or he stuck his nose where he shouldn't have been, one or the other. But just racing.
Good runs. The penthouse. I'm sorry, penthouse and the outhouse, guys. You just never know here.
Absolutely right. Boy, he was looking awfully tough. Now here's a good look at J.R. Rohrig, and he has not had a lot of starts. As a matter of fact, this is his first one, but there's history in those jeans.
We have typically associated the number 71 car with Brett Sontag all through the 2003 season, but we have somebody new behind the wheel. JR, welcome to the ASA.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate being here. Tom Lampe gave me a call during the week and wanted to know if I wanted to drive the car here. And we got a lot of high bank experience at Winchester I-70. We've raced here one other time in a late model car and finished third. It's not my favorite track, but we seem to do pretty well. We're not the fastest car today, but I think we've got a good race car for a long distance, real comfortable to drive.
JR's had some great success at all three high bank ovals, I-70 Winchester and here at Salem, as he's been on the podium 3 times. And he also hopes that the NASCAR Midwest Series will help him out here as well.
Like I said, there's some racing history in ASA in those jeans. His uncle Dave in 1978 finished third in the ASA National Championship and got a pole in his ASA career as well. So, JR, he's got it.
He's been around a long time as well as far as short track racers. From the mid-'80s on, he's been a contender, winning 3 times in the Sunoco Series alone.
And watch for it. There's the call, green, and it is Cleaver bringing him around.
That's your move.
Right behind him is Donnie Reavers, and then 29 Sorensen. 80 is Refner, and then the 63 of Robbie Pyle. Refner dropping low. I guess the question we're going to see here now, Jim, is Sorensen's car, whether they've been able to get that car to handle a little bit, or whether he's in fact going to hold up everybody behind him, because they said that car just was not good.
He's got the track position because a number of lead lap cars did pit, and we'll see how quickly Brian Refner goes to work in that Morton Salt Chevy right behind him. And Brian's been on a great run, and really they've got something going here in the 80 car, up to 4th right now.
Having a good run. Cleaver continues to lead. Ken, he's starting to draw away.
Yeah, Todd Cleaver says he loves all high bank tracks. He says he really enjoys the big speed. Done a lot of racing in Madison, but they were real fast right out of the box here. And fortunately for these guys, just before qualifying, they found out that they had a bad shock on the right rear, so they were able to change that. Of course, qualified fairly well, and now it looks like it's really paying off, guys.
Now, Greg, you can appreciate this. Right before the race, I had a chance to talk to Todd Cleaver, and he was freezing. I said, Todd, you used to race snowmobiles. What's up? He said, you wouldn't believe it, but I used to race snowmobiles. I'm really cold right now. Well, trying to gain some warmth here. I think he's heating up just fine.
When you race snowmobiles, you prep for the cold. You know you're going to be out in cold. And I don't think anybody 2 weeks ago who would have expected it was going to be these kind of temperatures in southern Indiana. But Cleaver adjusting nicely, as you said, and working that line up through 3, through 4. We're going to show you speeds at the line as they come by here, average speeds, which will give you an idea of who's running real quick out there. And as you'd expect in that front group, Cleaver has the fastest speeds, and nobody else matching that 108, 108.4. But look at Seitz, 108.2.
That's with a tire rub.
Yeah.
I'd say he's hanging out.
Well, the question there for Seitz is, with that second stop, did he go down a lap? And he did not, it would appear. So he's still got a shot at this, and now his stops certainly could be all said and done.
Now, Cleaver still feels like he has to vindicate himself and really redeem for the team what happened at Winchester Speedway. The season closer last year, he was up in the front. He was racing with the series champ, Joey Clanton, and they got involved in an accident involving a lap car, and he said, man, I can't believe it. I had a chance to win on the high bank track. So for this team to lead these laps right now, as hard as they've worked with new crew chief Bob Gumbel coming on board, they're really clicking, and they really like what they have in this race car. I'd say the average age of these crew guys, if they stay together, they'll be really tough to beat because they're about 22, 23, 24 years old.
It's a young, smart group. Cleaver leads it. And we were joking about the cold versus the hot here as you take a look at the top 5. We also took a moment to visit with Mr. Cleaver and ask him, what do you think about these high banks?
I'm not intimidated at all. I have a lot of respect for a place like this. They can hurt you in a quick hurry, but I love running the high banks. I love being on the edge of the seat, up on the wheel, just steering for everything I got.
As is clearly evident, it is a mite chilly here in Salem, Indiana, but nonetheless the action on the track is hot and heavy and great, and Todd Cleaver right now is having a phenomenal run. He's built his margin up to 1.5 seconds, and the gentleman pursuing him is right there, that black machine that just ran through your frame of Donnie Reavers as we watch the rest of the pack scream through here. But Cleaver looks tough. Donnie Reavers has lost a little bit of time to him. And there's Donnie working around the track right now. Let's now check in with Ken Stott with his crew chief.
I've got to ask you, I know you guys made a tire pressure change on your one pit stop. It looks like he's going really high in 3 and 4.
He likes running it right up to the wall. I keep warning him, don't get too close. It's good up there. He likes it up there. Our next stop, we're planning on fuel. We had 2 cautions too close together there. We wanted to come in and decided, went for track position. Hopefully it pays off.
Hey guys, with the speeds he's running, I don't think he has a choice but to be up there. It looks like it's washing up a little bit to me.
Well, it almost looks like he just lets it push out and then it hooks up on that very upper lip of that curve up here. Watch, that time he didn't really get up quite as high as he has, man. But then he just lets it, then it bites on that right front and just pitches him around the corner. It's an interesting line. Going back into the pack just a little bit. There's the number 29, the blue car, Sorensen, the 80, Refner dropping low, trying to make something happen. Not going to work right there, and we're right now behind that battle on board with Robbie Pyle sitting in 5th.
You know, he speculated if Reed Sorensen was holding these guys up, it's one thing, but trying to pass a car that's just a little bit slower has been Brian Refner's problem here. If his car is faster, he cannot get around Reed and do a clean pass. Butch Miller told us on the Racing Electronics radio earlier, you got to get the pass done by turn 3, and Brian Refner in that second car in line here has not been able to do so to take over that 3rd spot.
Well, every time you drop down just a little bit, it just does not work. I mean, this is such a momentum track, and you drop down, you start scrubbing speed, the angle's wrong, and then coming back after it, you lose a little momentum. I'll check in with Rob Albright on Brian Refner.
Walter, you guys are losing ground to the leaders and are visibly faster than the 3rd place car, Reed Sorensen. How patient can you afford to be?
Well, as you probably imagine, it's track position's everything here tonight. Right now we've only got really a 1-lane racetrack, but Menard's more than soft cars as good as anybody here tonight. It's still early days, but I think Brian's got a real good chance of coming out on top tonight.
The 95 champion, guys, has been very strong. He's crept closer and closer to winner's circle. Tonight just may be the night as he's trying to take the 3rd position away from Reed Sorensen.
And his 7th straight top 6 or top 7 finish. I mean, he's really had a strong run. He's now 6th in the points, and Refner certainly is smiling because Morton Salt people seem to be happy and looking forward to maybe renewing this relationship with Menards next season.
Well, I think they've seen the progress. I mean, he came back after a long absence, really put the team together, built it up. At one stretch, when he started that run you're talking about, he had 4 straight 6th place finishes, and you could just see the angst. He wanted to crack the top 5, managed to do that. So it's been improvement for that latter half of the season, just absolutely upwards for Refner. 63, Robbie Pyle. This is classic Robbie Pyle. You know, he's never super flashy or anything, but he's always super effective, always near that front.
Rarely out of the top 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And this really gives more credit to Reed Sorensen and Brian Refner to be able at this point in the season to run with Robbie Pyle. This team has matured as well. At Citgo Chevy running right with them now. And we go on board with Toby Porter, and he's not been here a lot with ASA cars. They tested the car itself, but the team has a lot of, I think, self-pressure to do well here at Salem because they did so well here a year ago, winning with David Stremme in dramatic fashion, passing Gary St. Amant in the late going.
And that is right there. 11 Porter sits in the 8th spot. 33 Stewart is right in front of him in that orange body balance car as we now ride with Porter once again. Just in front of 33, Stewart is the 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. That is the next car in line. You just see make him out right there, who sits in the 6th spot. There they are. Meanwhile, up front, and this is the halfway point, 150 laps in. And that means Todd Cleaver wins the B.F. Goodrich Tires Halfway Leader Award in the TK2 Racing Chevrolet. Congratulations, Todd. That's a nice little package that he gets from B.F. Goodrich.
A nice 4-tire set, and B.F. Goodrich Traction TA radials might be coming to a store near you. They're making production tires now, upwards of 55 or 60 different sizes. And
yep, and it's based on this tire. It was invented really for this series back in the year 2000. And the Traction TA, as a matter of fact, this Wednesday, they went from there to distribution centers to dealers, and they may even have a few on the showroom floors as of today, certainly by Monday. And you'll notice a lot of the cars on that rear quarter panel are showing B.F. Goodrich Traction TA, and it's because of this very special promotion that this is happening right here. Now we're watching Brian Refner, one of his best runs in 4th. The question is, as we get down near the end of this season, to Brian Refner, do you like the high banks?
Well, I like to run high banks. You know, I'm happy to be off of the flat tracks we've been on for the last month and a half or 2 months, whatever it seems like. But, you know, this place is fast. You know, it can bite you before you know it. When things happen, they happen fast. But, you know, I like to run fast, and Salem brings that to me.
Welcome back, and folks, if you're just joining us, here's what's happened so far at the green flag. Pole sitter Kevin Sawinski went to the lead. 17, Mike Garvey just knifed underneath, opened up a huge lead. Then Sawinski broke a sway bar mount, and then a big crash in the backstretch, and right there is Garvey, who had a huge lead. Look at the debris field, the stuff flying up in the air that he's running over. He stopped in the pits. They thought it was a tire. Then he stopped again. He was out steering rack damage, perhaps from that incident. After a slew of pit stops, number 55, Todd Cleaver, playing it beautifully, worked his way to the front, and he continues to lead by a little over half a second over number 15, Donnie Reavers. So Todd Cleaver, Jim, is just having an absolutely stellar day.
And Cleaver has been really in the hunt, but he's not been in the top 5 every race. And at this point in the season, we mentioned Bob Cumbo coming on board. He worked with J.C. Beatty for the most of this year, and working out of his shops in Ohio. They had a difference in opinion. J.C. may join us at Nashville as the team's been off the road for a little while, but Bob and the opportunity he has with these young guys and telling them this is what we need to do to the car, his communication. Todd Cleaver recognized it, his brother Tim recognized it. They said, you know what, this is the right choice for us, and it's paying off right here tonight.
It's paying off huge. Now, one thing I've been noticing, too, as we watch Cleaver, is Reavers' car at both ends of the track is sparking a little bit. And that means that something, probably a suspension component, is just bottoming a little bit and scraping up. And we've already seen things let go that are pretty healthy. I would think that's something that that team might be a little bit concerned about.
You know, the cars are running softer setups, and Donnie Reavers, again, only a part-time competitor this year. On the flatter racetracks, the cars want to be bolted to the ground. They use a very soft spring package to keep the cars tightened down. Here at this racetrack, you got to build for ride height. You don't see a lot of scraping going on with the veterans and the guys who've been running every week. So Cleaver's car a little bit, Reavers' car a little bit too soft right now in the 15.
And as we watched Mr. Cleaver, as he continues to lead up front, let's enjoy the sounds of speed on board with Kevin Sawinski. Welcome back, everybody, from that great Sounds of Speed look. And look what's developing down in the pits. Number 15, Reavers, is in.
Apparently going 170 laps on fuel here at Salem because he made it to lap 169 and slowed to the infield to get some gas.
Boy, they were obviously hoping for a yellow to give them an opportunity here, but that's it. They are going to lose not only that second spot, but they're going to lose a lap or more.
And Reavers has shown that he's got the talent to stay there. Hopefully this team can gather enough sponsorship together. Again, they're working with Country Joe Racing. This is the second car they've used this year. It's the same car that Travis Geisler has driven to decent runs this year in a part-time effort as well for Country Joe Racing and the Great Clips effort.
And look at the battle that's unfolding right here. That is 63 Robbie Pyle. He is chasing the 80 of Refner right behind him. is the 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. Rob?
You know, Greg, this is happening a half lap behind race leader Todd Cleaver. But Bill McGowan told me earlier, he said, we really messed up a couple of weeks ago at our home racetrack at Indiana. He said, we set the car up hoping that we guessed right for the night racing after afternoon qualifying, and we guessed wrong. We started with the tire pressures wrong. We're not going to make that mistake tonight. Well, they're extremely happy with this race car. They're just biding their time. They think they've got a car to win. Right behind him, Glenn Allen Jr. just battling to keep the car on the racetrack week after week after week. His crew, headed by his new crew chief, Father Glenn Allen Sr., they've made 2 of their required 3 stops. They've gotten fuel, they've gotten right side tires. They really don't think they need another stop. They're going to follow the leader. But he, like Robbie Pyle, thinks he has a car faster than the couple of them that are in front of him in the persons of Reed Sorensen and the machine of Brian Reffner, guys.
All right, we're getting a good look here at Glenn Allen Jr. Now, interestingly, we've been watching here and wondering if Sorensen, who sits in second now with Reaver's stop, if he's been on the pace. Well, I was just watching, and this last couple of laps, he ran within a tenth of Cleaver. So maybe they have been able to get that car sorted out just a little bit. Here's Glenn Allen Jr. running in the 5th spot. There is Pyle, and then the blue car of Reffner. That's 4th and 3rd. And then up front of them is 29 is Sorensen, but we ride on board right now with Robbie Pyle. He's trying to figure out any way he possibly can to get by number 80 Reffner.
And there's a lot of trust here. You see how close they're racing, nose to tail, down the front straightaway here, all the way around the racetrack. Brian Reffner leading the Citgo Chevy of Robbie Pyle. Pyle's got his nose tucked in there. If any problem happens, or if they run over debris, what have you, it could cause a 4, 5, 6 car wreck here on this very narrow racetrack when it comes to the racing groove.
But that is the nature of racing here at this high-speed facility. You gotta work it and work together. And as we now take you back through the top 10, sitting in 11th still is Rich Locke, who had a great run earlier in the going and is playing the strategy game with pit stops. We also asked him, what do you think about running Salem's High Bank?
It's pretty interesting. I haven't been on anything like it, and we run a pretty high bank track at Slinger, what I usually do, but they're wild. It's kind of like an amusement ride, and you're strapped in tight and you hang on and right up against that wall, and it's awesome. It's really cool.
Welcome back to the Pep Boys 300 presented by Grease Lightning, the second to last round of the ASA National Championship. And if the race were to end right now, here's what the story would be. Kevin Sawinski, 106 over Butch. But that's changed, remember? And
it was down to 50, but
yeah.
Butch Miller just came down pit road to put fuel in the car into green. What a huge, huge break for Sawinski, really.
Yeah, just a bit of a miscalculation in terms of trying to figure out the strategy. I mean, early on, he was running here. That's Greg Stewart, and this is when he was in the lead. Then Sawinski had the mechanical problems, and they worked it on the car, and of course, he dropped some 30 laps off the pace. Butch ducked in, made the pit stop, and right there, look at the guy cannot get that wrench to actually locate the adjusting nut, and they just said, get out of there. You see them shaking their heads. It didn't work. And Butch came out in 11th and was never able to get up past it, and he was just in there. It just cracked. Eventually got into the top 10, but was 14th, and he came out of the pits. And then what just happened was absolutely amazing. He was ducked into the pits for fuel under green.
And they did make that chassis adjustment. 2 laps down is not the worst here. He could still salvage a top 10, but as tight as ASA competition's been here, he's lucky if he gets in the top 12. Right now he's 14th, 2 laps down. Again, Boris Jurkovic is just 1 spot ahead of him in 13th, so he's going to try to get to him and also try to get a lap back if things play out right.
Well, and the interesting thing is that Sawinski is 22nd, so Butch is, obviously has lost an awful lot. Let's check in with Ken.
Bob Cumbo, of course, crew chief here for Cleaver, and I'll tell you, you guys are just flying.
Todd's doing a great job. The car's doing great. We're going to get a comp yellow here in 1 lap, and we really need it. We're just all but out of fuel right now.
They also made a small air pressure adjustment a little bit earlier, guys. They are fast, but they do need this yellow soon.
Well, and as you heard him allude to, they were going to get a comp yellow, and Jim, there it is, a competition yellow.
Now that means that they've gone a period of 50 laps, or excuse me, 100 laps on this racetrack without a caution flag. And here at Salem Speedway, again, based on the track length, ASA has put in a rule saying if we don't get a caution, We want to make this a good race for the fans and for the teams and the guys that are on the lead lap. We don't want green flag stops if we can help it. We saw Butch Miller come down pit road and pit under green. That's a rarity here in ASA.
Oh, yeah.
The competition yellow is there to keep the field together and make it a great race for the fans and the people watching on Speed Channel. So a great break for Todd Cleaver, but we saw a couple of guys that couldn't quite stretch it to the full length.
Couldn't stretch it. And also, I think in this case, competition yellow might not be a bad idea with all the breakages we've been seeing, is it allows the guys to come in and maybe take that extra 2-3 seconds while they're changing tires or whatever,
sure,
to take a look at what the components are looking like, especially the tires. As good as these BF Goodrich traction TAs are, still in all, if you abuse them, run over stuff, or just run them right down to the court, there's going to be some problems. So that's the story. Now, we were talking about that. Look at Reed Sorensen's car, and we're going to try and move in a little bit on that left rear quarter panel. And normally that's reserved for a major team sponsor of some sort. But BF Goodrich is on there right now, and the reason is the launch for the consumer public of the Traction TA, which began life in 2000 as an ASA race tire.
Yeah, it's the first radial tire to run on a short track series, a national touring series, but when the Traction TA line is fully fleshed out during the 2004 calendar year, there's actually going to be 51 different sizes and 3 speed ratings, and they all have a 60 to 70,000 mile warranty. Not only are they durable here on the racetrack, but Matt Fordhofer and the engineers at BFG have really taken what's on the racetrack and put it to the street.
Well, and the very interesting thing about it is there's an awful lot. I like the way that it was explained, DNA mixing back and forth. Let's check in with Ken.
Todd Cleaver comes in. You can see the fuel can going to the left rear. That thing holds about 10.5 gallons of fuel, holding it up probably somewhere in the area of 90 pounds. Excellent job. Let's go to Rob.
Reed Sorensen flies onto pit road. The crew goes to work on the left side. Jack is underneath. Left sides are off. The rights or the lefts will go on now. The fresh one right behind him. Robbie Pyle stops quicker. He gets off pit road faster. So do several other cars, including Rick Beebe and Glenn Allen Jr. A frustrating, disappointing stop for the second place car when the yellow came out. Reed Sorensen, guys.
And I'll tell you, they use something that I haven't seen before, and maybe I'm just naive to it. Maybe it's common practice, but on Reed's car, they have a tear-off of sorts that you normally see on the helmet of an open-wheel racer, but it's across the outside of the windshield, and they just peel that thing right off, so he's got a nice clear field of vision to be able to get to the end of the race, one would hope, from his team, certainly at this stage. So pretty interesting what they're doing in terms of doing everything they can to help the drivers as we're watching Reed Sorensen. They played the strategy game here with that terrible qualifying effort. It moved up nicely, and Reed Sorensen was one of the drivers we talked to about running the high banks.
I think Salem's pretty intimidating, mainly because you're going pretty quick here, and it's pretty bumpy, so it's hard to see what you're doing, and you're right against the wall, so it's going to get pretty exciting when you're side by side with people.
Remember, everybody, tune in right here on Speed to NASCAR TV weeknights from 6 to 8 and all night on Friday. NASCAR TV right here on Speed.
Great view from this beautiful grandstand here at Salem. Did a lot of work to it. It's a really, really nice racetrack, not only for the racers, which has a lot of characteristics.
Oh, yeah.
Fans have certainly gotten a lot of great improvements here. Owen Thompson and the gang here really doing a nice job at Salem.
And we are back to green, and Todd Cleaver doing a nice job. He now, though, has Robbie Pyle right behind him, and then the number 5 of Beebe, and then the 53, the Wall white car that you see, 5th in the order, but actually 4th on the track in the actual scoring order of Glenn Allen Jr. And right behind him is Reed Sorensen. And an interesting development during that pit stop. Let's go back down to Rob Albright.
Yeah, guys, as the words were coming out of my mouth, disappointing pit stop. These guys were high-fiving each other, as well they should. It was my mistake. They were the only driver among the top 5 to take tires on that stop. They only gave up 3 spots in the process for a team that wasn't even in the hunt the first half of this race. To be able to change tires and come out that well. They're thrilled, not disappointed, guys.
The neat thing about it is it's that indecision. Do we do the tires? Do we do the fuel? They saw the fuel concerns of other teams. They had their choice. They gambled, and they obviously, by the overjoyed reaction we heard just off of Rob's microphone, was those guys are pumped up. And Reed Sorensen wants a win before this year is out. He won the rookie title, but I think still on his list to check off is a victory in ASA in his rookie season.
And there's their battle for the lead. 55 Cleaver and Robbie Pyle, who is not only fast, he's a thinking driver. I really enjoy watching him run because you can just tell where he's placing the car on the track. that he's studying. He's studying. He's a lot of fun to watch just from that mental perspective.
He's like a human data recorder. He's a self-taught engineer. Really, I mean, this guy knows every inch of this race car, plays the geometry game. It's almost like a game to him. And what it transpires to is he's got Bill McGowan, the crew chief, that worked with Gary St. Amant for so many years and successfully won 2 championships, relieving that pressure from him at the racetrack to do everything he needs to do. Now Robbie can think as a driver saying, Bill, we need this. What do you think about that? Whereas before, he may have thought more of the pressure was on himself and himself alone to make this car race fast.
Well, I have to admit, this season being my first doing a full season of stock car racing, many's the time I found myself just eavesdropping on Bill McGowan and learning so much. And here, boy, number 5, here comes Rick Beebe right there in that College Transport Chevy. He is right on top of them now and coming after them big time.
Now, the neat thing about what Rick Beebe's been able to do is he's been able to practice what he preaches. That Howe chassis, the Collins equipment number 5, the car is working really good right now in the race. And this has not been an every race occasion for Rick Beebe and the guys. They've really tried to get consistent runs here at Salem, and maybe the practice later in the day and qualifying later in the day might have helped this team as they guessed on the right setup right now.
Well, he's obviously closing right in, having a good run, and we're going to go down to Rob Albright. But Rob, I'll save you the first correction. I know that's a Ford.
Yeah, it's definitely a Ford, and he's definitely got somebody new calling the shots this week. Dick Van Wieren has taken over as crew chief on this number 5. Dick is Chaz Howe's right-hand man. Obviously, Chaz and Howe Racing, one of the top chassis builders in this series. And Rick was really optimistic that was going to help him tonight. It certainly has, hasn't it, guys?
It's helped him big time. As a matter of fact, he just turned the fastest lap of that lead group of 6 on that last tour. So obviously that car is working very well.
Dick Van Wieren has also worked in ASA as a crew chief for a limited time for a guy named Mike Eddy, 7-time series champion.
He did okay.
Yeah, he did all right. Yeah, led 16,000 laps, 17,000 laps, and we'd love to see Mike Eddy back here at the racetrack.
Boy, and look at this scrum right here. Back in the order just a little bit. That's number 33 is sitting in 8th. That body balance car is Stewart. Rich Locke right behind him, that all-white machine. We hop on board with Toby Porter, who is in the 11th spot. Right in front of him is Mike Cope. He's done a nice job of fighting back from that early moment and trying to stay right in the hunt here. Here's the look. Right behind Cope. Now you see the 06 there. He's well back. He's down about 3 laps, and he's still struggling with that left front corners and some severe tire rub. And there's Gary St. Amant, number 7 in 7th. He too helping pass the word on those great new BF Goodrich street tires, the Traction TA, but that's the Medicine Shop Chevy, and he has had himself an interesting. I think Gary technically was done with stops.
Yeah, and they were scratching their head all.
Oh, look at Robbie Pyle just drive by the 55 of Cleaver, which it looks to me like Cleaver moved low and then maybe came back. I wonder if Cleaver now is thinking fuel, because remember they took tires, didn't they? Or did they take fuel?
They took fuel, but the thing about it is Cleaver may know that Robbie has a faster race car right now. In this mode of taking fuel, how long has it been since he changed those left side BFGs?
Yeah, that's very good, very true. Letting Robbie just sort of lead the way here. But he's quickly now going to have Beebe to contend with.
But Robbie Pyle's car has been so strong, so consistent. We mentioned Bill McGowan working with these guys. Bill McGowan was in a position to win this race a year ago with Gary St. Amant. David Stremme had a bit faster race car. They had some bumping and banging going on, and Stremme ended up winning, and Gary ended up, I believe, back in 4th after making some contact late in the going on the last lap.
And one of the interesting things here's the pass for the lead. Now watch this. It's going into 1. Boy, and Pyle he just made that outside line work. That was not, certainly wasn't Cleaver letting him by. I think Cleaver let him by there because he knew he was going to lose a lot of speed coming out of that turn. But right now, Robbie Pyle is hooked up. Rob?
You know, guys, before drivers' introductions, I was standing talking to a couple of Robbie Pyle's fellow veterans, and I said, who's the guy to beat tonight? They said unanimously Robbie Pyle. Why? Because this place rewards patience and it rewards smooth, and they said he is the man that basically epitomizes both of those qualities, and he's proving it in the late stages, isn't he?
Yes, indeed, and that's Wally Gleitzman's wife. Esther, and she was the one that was cheering all over the place. And I saw her a week later. She had a really short haircut. You see there. She's like, "What do you think of my new haircut?" I'm like, "Esther, you know, you were so it made it look so exaggeratedly excited when he won a race.
Yeah.
When he finally put the nail in the coffin and won an event, as Robbie Pyle's been so close so many times." And she's just a very fun gal to be around and then watch Robbie Pyle race in the race car.
Well, the one thing about Robbie and the team, I think you have to include the team here, is that you don't see the swings with Robbie's team.
Yep.
You know, some of these guys, the fast ones even, at one race they'll qualify up front, and the next race they'll qualify 18th. And one race they may win, and one race they may be in 30th. And you never see that. Robbie's always in the top 5.
And they've had the heartbreak. They almost won the race at Madison, and they had that problem late in the going. The team didn't seem to get that much lower than even keel. And that's, again, leadership and strong ownership with Wally Tom Gleitzman, making these guys work hard at being consistent.
Huge battle right here. 25 Cope. He's got Toby behind him, Rich Locke in front of him, Stewart in front of them. This is an outright war right now for the 8th spot, and those four cars are all in it. Then Seitz, who's down a few laps, but that's the battle. And then right in front of them, of course, sitting in a fairly lonely 7th, is the number 7 of Gary St. Amant, 2-time champion, one of the true greats. You had to ask him the question, what do you think about Salem's High Banks?
Well, this is definitely a mental racetrack, and if you have a good, comfortable feeling race car, this is an awful fun place to get around. If your race car is off and it's bouncing around and moving all over the racetrack, it's not very fun. So I'd say it's intimidating if you do not have a very good race car.
Todd Cleaver comes in. He'll take on the left sides. These guys had a last-minute change of tires here in the pits. They grabbed one set, was not happy with them, immediately grabbed another set. They have another great pit stop here. Let's go to Rob.
Brian Repner came in the 4th position. He's on pit road. Glenn Allen in as well. He was running in the 3rd spot. Cleaver goes by me. Repner is away. Glenn Allen still sitting on the jacks. Greg Stewart needed the pit stop badly. He's underway again, guys.
Boy, the proverbial flurry here. And I'll tell you what, right before this happened, first of all, watch what happened here with Greg Stewart.
Something puffed right there. You notice it now. Rich Locke is trying to find a way around. On the bottom goes Mike Hope, way down to the bottom of the screen. Toby Porter also sees that, and as Stewart gets out of the gas off of turn 2, he almost loses it as Rich Locke gets in the back of him. But now look as they go into turn 3. Porter is safely through. Looks like there's a problem on Stewart's car, still not going fast enough. And here comes Davin Seitz. He's 3 laps down, but hey, if I'm faster, I'm going to pass you guys. And then, just as they came off of turn 4, the 15 car of Donnie Reavers lost it off the corner and hit the inside wall pretty hard there. Brent Downey also able to get away with just pulling to the inside.
I think that blue car there, I think may have given 15 a little shove.
And from 2nd place to more than a Salem stripe for Donnie Reavers in that Great Clip Chevy. That car has got a lot of damage underneath that fiberglass body.
Absolutely, and I think in that first sequence we saw, as we see Reavers down in the pits, I think 24 Locke was looking the same thing that happened to Cozzolino on the front straight, was trying to get around the outside. I don't think Stewart saw him, moved over. That's what that puff was. And then I think that upset Locke, and he gave him a little return tap.
And it's such a narrow groove as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So with all of these pit stops, that leaves number 63, Robbie Pyle, in the lead. And we're now well past 100 laps remaining, so it's interesting. Now, you know, all of these cars run the same engine, and there's a great group of people that look after it. We took a look a little earlier.
The engines are very race ready from the factory. There's very little performance-wise modified on the engines. It's mostly parts to make them more durable for racing and to get rid of some of the things that wouldn't be used in a race form that are on the engine for street applications. The first year we upfitted 275 engines roughly, and that originally was intended to be just 1 year's supply, but we're actually on the 4th year of the program off of that initial batch of 275 engines. So the engines have outlasted everybody's expectations. There's teams that have over 15,000 track miles on a single engine, not including their own practice and qualifying and test session laps. In a sealed specification engine series, it's very important to be able to maintain parity between the engines. So there are 3 primary seals put on every engine. It's very similar to the engine that's found in a Corvette, a Camaro, a Firebird, the 99 and newer GM trucks. There's a lot that, you know, anyone who's got a GM V8 vehicle can go pop the hood on their car and look underneath, and they'll recognize a lot of the parts. It's been a great program for us. We've been really happy to have been chosen by GM and ASA to do this program. We think it's an incredible testament to the engine which we already knew was an incredibly durable engine from our street applications, but we think it's an incredible testament to how durable the engines are for them to be doing as well as they do in the ASA Series with as close to stock as the engines are.
Very much an Indiana connection just up the road in Decatur. We want to remind you to check out Wind Tunnel. Dave Despain, Motorsports Newsmakers, and you, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Wind Tunnel with Dave Despain right here on Speed.
Pace car pulls down on the straightaway, but we mentioned in that nice little piece about how these engines are kept together, Butch Miller's raced the same engine all year. The same engine has been in the same car, and he's within 100 points of the championship. So that is a testament to how durable these Vortec engines really are.
They are phenomenal, and cost effective is a huge, huge story here. And Lingenfelter goes a long way. That company really doing a superlative job as we are green, and it is Pyle. He's under pressure from the 5 of Beebe. But the guy who has amazed me is the 29 of Sorensen, he and his team, because according to ASA now, all the stops are done unless somebody's running low on fuel. But all the mandatory stops of 3 are complete, and Sorensen sits right there in 3rd. And he's the one that the question there is, they did tires.
Yep, and we'll have to find out. I mean, these caution laps help because you get better gas mileage, twice as many miles per gallon under a caution lap than a green flag lap, but it's a matter of figuring out how indeed these cars can stretch this long. We're at lap, we're within 70 laps of the finish here, and it's going to be interesting to find out if they have enough fuel.
And I think the couple of guys behind Sorensen are also great stories. 25 Mike Cope in his return after missing 6 races due to crash damage, a fire in the hauler. I mean, it's unbelievable. Sits 4th, and right behind him is Rich Locke, and this guy's story continues to impress.
Now, Mike Copa, again, we mentioned he had a fire in his hauler as he left his shops in Florida to come north to a racetrack, and he really did a lot of damage, more than they thought. And as he got things back together, he decided to hire Scott Hansen. If you didn't join us earlier, he talked about having Scott Hansen, who's won here at Salem 4 times, join him on his pit crew, and he brought along Scott brought along a couple of his guys as well that he's been working with for a number of years. So they really got together and are doing a great job running in the top 5 here. Rich Locke, we mentioned enough. We just kind of are introducing the ASA audience to Rich Locke, and they're trying to put together a program. They don't know exactly what they're going to do. They like what they have with Kurt Woodward in this chassis, but they may indeed be looking for something out of their Wisconsin shops, maybe on their own, maybe together. And I'd say let's keep everything together the way this car's running right now.
It's amazing. This is only his 4th start in ASA competition, but as we're going to show you speeds at the line, he had 17 super late model victories on fairly similar tracks as this. And so I think this kid's got a future, and it's great to have him trying to build that championship portfolio right here in ASA. There's your speeds at the line, and car running 3rd right now. Sorensen had the fastest of that group of 5 at a 107. So he also had the quickest lap, that last lap of that top group.
Robbie Pyle is setting sail, but you noticed earlier in the race, Mike Garvey was setting sail and took off. Todd Kleber took off. Robbie Pyle's leading, but less than 4/10 now from 2nd.
And this battle is rejoined once again. They're back in 11th now, as the number 33 of Stewart fills that spot. 12th is the number 53 of Glenn Allen Jr. And these guys have seen each other this close. It's been in different positions, the battle, but for most of the race, and right in front of them, the number 7 of Gary St. Amand. 243 laps complete. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Salem Speedway, Salem, Indiana, as we are now within the final 50 laps of the race. And here are your 2 leading points protagonists, number 1 Sawinski, number 52 Miller, close to each other on the racetrack, but well separated in terms of running. Miller runs 13th, and he did get a lap back. He went from 2 down to 1 down. Sawinski runs 21st, and he is still 30 laps back, but the laps don't make the difference. It's the finishing order, and with what I would say is a pretty serious miscalculation on fuel by Butch Miller's team. They had to stop under green. They had a chance to make up a slew of points, and now they're a lap down, and they're hurting. And you have to wonder, we were playing the analogy up front of the cornermen and the trainers and the like, and it just didn't click for Butch.
But coming into this race, it was a 149-point difference. Kevin Sawinski leading Butch. So I think that, if I was in the position of Butch Miller's team, I'm not saying they are, but I would think those guys are thinking, we really need to make up a lot of ground. Can we do it? I don't know. But when Kevin Sawinski had his early race problems, after leading the race, the whole mental capacities of that team changed.
Yep.
What do we do to get maximum points? We stay out and lead a lap. They led a lap, but then they ran out of gas.
Oh, we've got some great racing going. Ken, right now Sorensen is in the middle of a huge battle.
You know, these guys tested here just a little bit ago, Greg, a couple weeks ago, and Brad said this car was absolutely awesome. In fact, when they put it back in the trailer, they took the springs off, took the shocks off, and put them aside in the garage. And then when they came back, they put the entire setup back inside of the car. But when they were practicing, they had lost a half a second. They were totally lost. They had no idea what had changed on the car. Apparently, they figured it out because he has come back really hard, guys.
Well, enough concern to Sorensen. I think there's little doubt, Jim, in watching that he is definitely quicker than Beebe, but we've seen him before when Butch was trying to get by people and others. It is very difficult to pass a car who's a tick slower than you here. And if Sorensen could get by Beebe, I think he'd be able to draw away. Concerning Reed, and I think Cope, who's quicker than the both of them perhaps behind him, is the fact that 63 Pyle, you just see him up in the distance, is almost a second and a half ahead now.
You got to wonder for Mike Cope running as well as he is right now. This could be a victory for him, but what a great run by all these guys. Again, Reed Sorensen bouncing back from early troubles, and then we have Rick Beebe, really kind of a silent march through the field, and Cope, you know, coming back after that time away. He even admits there's so much to learn every week. When you don't make a race, you miss a lot on as far as the advancements of each team as they get faster.
And Rich Locke's still there as well. He hasn't lost touch with his group.
That's an amazing run by that kid. Lewis Schmidt Plumbing, I'm telling you, they've been paying some bills, and they're certainly paying off here for Rich Locke in that 24 at the tail end of this little run.
Boy, did you see how Beebe just swung out and around? What a move. Oh, look at this battle here. The number 66 of Boris Yurkovich right in front of the number 7 of St. Amant. That's 9th and 10th. And for Boris, who would have guessed that he'd be running this impressively right now, Rob, after what happened to him in practice?
Yeah, Boris trashed the car literally during practice.
Oh, something just broke on it, Rob. Something let go on that car.
Yeah, what a disappointment, because they flat-sided the right side of that car. Didn't even think they'd get it back in time to go racing tonight. He'd gone a lap down, worked his way back into the lead lap, and now his evening will end very disappointingly after a great run tonight, guys.
Yeah, he had found his way into the top 10 even, and just as we were watching it, something just let go. He just slowed way up, let a couple cars go by, and then dropped down to the low apron, so something big happened.
That team worked up to the point the cars are on the front stretch to go racing. I mean, they worked their brains out tonight, and that Chicagoland area team really had a lot of work to do to get that car back running, so great testament to their efforts.
Boy, right there, mid-corner between 3 and 4, Reed Sorensen is brutally fast. We'll see what he's going to be able to do here as we're closing in on the end of the Pep Boys 300 right here at Salem Speedway. Welcome back, folks, and you see a cold crowd is still bundled up, and they are going nowhere. Some unbelievable racing, and we're going to give you a little sounds of speed as we hop on board with Robbie Pilot. Watch him next time he goes through 3 and 4. Watch that right side wall.
I just got a grin on my face. He's got a lot of cojones getting against that fence every lap to make this thing work.
Oh, man, and he is at work, and he has now ballooned that margin up to 2.5 seconds, while still 29 Sorensen trying to figure out a way to get by. There's your margin, and that car right there is not in the mix. There is your second place, 5 Beebe, then Sorensen, then Cope, then Locke, then Porter, and then 55 Clearer. And what we're watching here is Sorensen is trying everything in the playbook to figure out a way to get by Beebe.
Keep in mind, Rick Beebe's got a lot more experience here at Salem. We actually saw Reed Sorensen spin earlier by trying an inside move on a flat part of the racetrack in the bottom of turn 3. So again, that whole playing game, the mind game of where to pass. Reed does have, it appears to have a better race car right now, but he can't find a way around him.
We're just on board with Torby Porter as he's trying to get by Rich Locke, and that's not an easy task right now either. And right behind Porter is Cleaver. So this is very interesting. Now, keep in mind now, Toby Porter is known to, his patience has a limit, shall we say.
Are you referring to his incident with Greg Stewart a couple races ago?
I might be.
Yeah.
I might.
Delco.
And But hey, such is the intensity and ferocity of this type of racing. But you know, one of those moves when you lean on somebody, you know, it's a little bit invidious, and doesn't promote a lot of goodwill down in that.
We're getting to 20 to go, so I think that whole temper tantrum may be flaring, or at least the heat may be boiling, because these guys know they have good race cars. Rick Beebe is doing what he can to keep ahead of the bunch, and they've all stacked up behind him. You see all these cars racing for position second on back.
It is just phenomenal, and from every onboard angle, we were just on board with Porter, and we're watching Sorensen. You can see him trying to make a move. And right now, Ken, I'll tell you, Rick Beebe is under immense pressure, and he has not put a wheel wrong.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But talking about immense pressure, well, one of the crew members for Rick Beebe, Dave Billings, his wife Janet Billings, unfortunately has been diagnosed with breast cancer. So they wanted to wish her a speedy recovery, and they're all thinking of you. And Janet, of course, has been watching ASA for the longest time. She's a big ASA fan for years and years, guys.
Indeed, we also wish her the very best and the quickest of possible recoveries. We miss her. We know she misses being here watching this action, and it is intense.
This is the best run Rick Beebe's had all season. He finished second last year at Winchester, another high bank racetrack. That was his best run. This is his second best run in over 2 years. He's got 2 wins, but they date back to the 90s. So for Rick Beebe and this whole team, Dick Van Weert should be looking for a contract here to help these guys out on a more regular basis.
Absolutely.
Mike Bryant's a great friend of Rick, and they've been working great together as well.
You know, again, we have a little bit of smoke from the back of Rich Locke's right side. I don't know whether.
Well, the kid's hanging it out. He's running with the big boys here.
Just been scooting her in there. You're absolutely right. I love it though when we go on board with Porter and you look up 3 cars and you can see the 29, that blue car Sorensen amongst all these white cars, trying anything. He's low, he's high, he's everywhere. And the concern for Porter is that lime green nose right behind him of Todd Cleaver. Boy, Mike Cope just ran way high up in there for a minute. I think he bottomed on something. You saw some sparks. I think that car skated up a little bit on him.
We're seeing this as also a rhythm racetrack. As hard as these guys are trying to get to the tailpipes of the car ahead, Rick Beebe's been able to put together some very consistent laps and getting a little bit of distance here between himself and that blue car, Reed Sorensen.
And lest you think that we're being a little tough on Beebe in terms of his speed, his last lap was a whole 8/100ths of a second slower than Pyle. So it's not like he's poking around out there. He's running quick. It just looks like these guys behind him might just have a smidge more and would maybe be able to do something about Pyle's now. Well, actually, Pyle's margin is shrinking. It was up to 3.1 seconds. And that last lap, it was down to 2.5. We'll see what it is now. Now it's down to 2.
So either Rick Beebe's really got something working here and he's able to settle in and not worry so much about Reed Sorensen, or the race leader saying, you know what, I've got a 2-second lead. I need to keep these tires under this race car to make a run to the finish.
Well, that's true. It could very well be just a strategy call here as we're coming up to 10 laps to go by Pyle going, all right, I've got the margin, just take care. But also, you get at a track with this kind of high speed, that train of cars will often run faster than one car by itself. And right now, Pyle is out there with no help anywhere. So we'll see what happens. Let's check in with Rob Albright.
You know, guys, there's no huge concern in the Robbie Pyle pit, but Bill McGowan did tell me that on long runs, the car tends to get quite loose. So Robbie is doing 2 things. Number 1, making sure that he doesn't lose it late in the going with a big lead. Number 2, just trying to play conservative in the late going. But the car's not good. I think it's good enough to hang on. But if these guys behind him were on his back bumper, he just might be in trouble.
Well, and the times we've been watching would kind of support that, because you got to believe the way it's going that Sorensen and Cope and those guys are a bit quicker than Beebe, and Beebe's matching Pyle's lap times. So it's going to be interesting. That margin, by the way, was back up to 2 1/4 seconds. Now it's almost back up to 2.5. So maybe a little traffic obviously also played a bit of a role. But Beebe just he bottomed again. And I think sometimes up in that turn, when they bottom and hit like that, it causes the car to just skate a little bit.
And what a great effort in more than one front for Robbie Pyle and the bunch in the 63 pit. They're going to gain huge points on Mike Garvey, and that's going to propel him perhaps even to the 3rd position in the points if he's able to get enough on Reed Sorensen. Right now he's not, but again, playing it out to the finale of Nashville, it could be up for grabs 3rd on back. And again, Kevin Sawinski had problems, but he's got enough of a cushion here, about 100 points, I think, that may take him into Nashville and his 2nd ASA championship.
Well, just that miscalculation for Butch Miller, I think that was the seminal moment in the season. I really do believe that. By the way, I also think the 24, Rich Locke, something's not right anymore with that car, whether it's simply that the handling has just gone way off, he's burned off tires or whatever, or if I've seen sparks a few times, but suddenly he's backing up and he's taking quarter and runs with them.
I've seen veterans after this 300-lap grind at Salem on warmer days fall out of the race car. This may be the longest race of this kid's life, and at this point, he can't help but hang on. And they got power steering, but this event really is taxing mentally and physically on these race drivers.
Well, there's Locke, and then there's number 11, Toby Porter, 55, Cleaver, and 80, Refner. Refner's been underneath Cleaver a couple of times here. He just hasn't been able to close the deal either here. This is the nature of this racing, and we're coming up on next time by. It'll be 2 laps to go. Robbie Pyle's margin almost 3 seconds again, so maybe he did just back off for a minute, breathe a little bit more life into those well-used traction TAs, and is now wicking them one more time. And here we go, 2 to go.
Man, look at this train, though. These guys are second on down to 8th position. Gary Sandoval's not far back in 9th, and I don't know if anyone's going to have a chance to make a run here with 2 laps to go. Now a lap and a half.
Boy, does it speak volumes about what we were talking about Robbie Pyle. Fast, but also very much a thinking man's driver. Really doing a heck of a job as he's on his final lap, whistling down the back straight. Some traffic in front of him, but it's far enough away. All he's got to do is get through. Here he comes, Robbie Pyle.
Good job.
Big win. Worked hard for it. But once again, exactly what we're talking about. As you hear the congratulations on the radio, Robbie qualifies well, he finishes well. That's just his MO.
And what a run by Rick Beebe trying to hold off the rest of those guys. He did a great job finishing second, his best run of the year.
Without doubt, and that was surviving intense pressure for Rick Beebe. And of course, when we come back, we're going to visit with some of our top players. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Salem, Indiana, Salem Speedway, and our second to the last round of the championship is done. Here are the results. Robbie Pyle, what a great win. BB, best run of the season. Sorensen, what a comeback. Mike Cope, and Rich Locke. I mean, so many stories here. When you take a look at this top 10, I don't think there's any question of that. But the big story is with our Rob Albright down in Victory Circle. Rob?
Well, look at Robbie Pyle. I'll tell you, he doesn't even look like he broke a sweat tonight. Robbie Pyle, what a fantastic run tonight to the checkered flag. You look dominant. Before the race, some of your peers said you were the guy to beat. They said it takes smooth and it takes patience here. That's what you showed tonight. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess, these high banks are really special to me. I ran that at the beginning of my career, and man, I really, Sicko, Tom, and Wally Gleitzman, they stuck with us, and I am so happy to be here like this. But yeah, I think it was a matter of just being here at the end. It was very hard to pass, and just tried to take care of the tires, and we were here.
You know, Robbie, you talk about what ifs. You've had a great season. You've had some mechanical problems that took you out when you had dominant cars. You got to wonder, you could be in the thick of this championship hunt, and you're finishing with momentum in 03. Talk about this championship season this year, and what does it do for you and the team for 04?
I guess the biggest thing is trying to get momentum for next year. You know, what happened this year happened. It's just bad luck, whatever you want to call it. You bring some of your own luck, but yeah, mainly getting momentum for next year. We're really excited about this and building it up, so we'll be here going at it.
Well, he doesn't show it on the outside. He wears his enthusiasm on the inside. Robbie Pyle, a dominant winner tonight, guys.
And he makes that big step out of the race car. For Robbie, that is exuberant celebration. He's a low-key guy, but he is a phenomenal race driver. And as a result, he gets to experience for the second time this season this very special moment. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. We want to remind you that stock car action doesn't stop tonight. No, tomorrow, right here in Speed News NASCAR edition, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Speed News Sunday at 7:30 p.m. in NASCAR Victory Lane, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on Speed. Let's head right back down to Ken Stott with the rest of our podium.
Rick Beebe with his best finish of the 2003 season, but I have to go back to that rookie meeting that you had earlier today when you said, if you just finish this race, you'll finish well, and that's exactly what you did.
That's right, but I had one of the most talented rookies. Matter of fact, the rookie there, Reed Sorensen, right behind me, did a great job of racing me clean. I know I was holding him up a little bit. Got to thank Kyle Chassis, Collis Equipment, Don and Maryland Phonetic Structural Transport. Say hi to my little buddy, my son Austin. It's his birthday today, guys, 7 years old. What a birthday present for him. I also want to say hi to Janet Billings, who's homesick, our scorer. We really miss you, Janet.
Well, we got to talk to the 2003 ASA Rookie of the Year. Wearing that hat, of course, what a fabulous job where you kept the pressure on the veteran.
Yeah, the AC-Delco car was running good tonight, and you know, Rick and I always run each other really clean, so you know, I'll return the favor. I wish I could have seen what I had for Robbie, but he was pretty quick out there, and we'll take this podium finish.
Excellent job. Let's go to Rob.
You know, Mike Cope's been away for a while, but he's back, and he's back certainly in style tonight, Mike. But for a little track position, you might have been the one standing in victory lane. Describe how it feels after being away for so long.
It feels really good. We come over some adversity here to be here tonight, but everybody stayed behind us. Charlie and Kim White, they're sitting there right now watching us, and I hope you guys feel good. But this is all Scott Hansen. Track position was everything. We had a real good hot rod underneath us. I mean, that car would haul butt, but the two cars in front of us, you know, it's one-lane racetrack. I had to run over Reed to get by him, and you kind of race these cats the way that you want to be raced.
Absolutely a great run from Mike Cope. The biggest surprise, without question, of the night, Rich Locke. Wow, where did you come from, young man? And you sure made a mark as you set your sights on a Rookie of the Year campaign next year.
I did. It was great. I mean, this is our 4th race we ran, and everything just came together. We got in the wall a little bit on our last practice, threw it together, qualified well, and the car was just great. Stuck around the whole time. I got to thank some people for helping me get here. Vegan North American Piping Systems, Jim Lagina, Louis Schmidt's awesome.
Great run for Rich Locke in a top 5 and just his 4th ASA start on the toughest track on the slate, guys.
Well, I think you absolutely put it beautifully. Boy, did he make a statement about his potential to make a run for Rookie of the Year next year. I would say he has it in spades. But the moment is all. Robbie Piles. We'll be back to wrap things up in just a minute. Speed Channel's live coverage of the ASA Racing Series Pep Boys 300, presented by Grease Lightning Orange Blast, has been brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires, the official tire of ASA, and by SK Hand Tool Corporation. Log on to skhandtool.com for your chance to win a 650-piece SK tool set complete with accessories. Well, the second to the last race of the championship season has concluded, folks, and the battle for the points championship still revolves around these two, and it has taken an interesting turn here at Salem, Indiana tonight. Jim?
Well, Kevin Sawinski got down those 30 laps. Butch Miller made all but one of his laps back up and finished in the 12th position. It's a 129-point difference, but look at Reed Sorensen and Robbie Pyle now both ahead of Mike Garvey by a sizable margin. We'll keep our eyes as we head to Nashville in 2 weeks. This is going to be exciting.
It's going to be very exciting indeed, and to find out a little bit more about that, let's check in with Rob Albright, who's with our points leader.
Kevin Sawinski, I wouldn't recommend that you take up poker playing. As we covered your wounded number 1 sitting on pit road, your eyes said it all, but tell me what was going through your mind as we looked at those eyes.
Well, we didn't really want that to happen for the Grease Lightning car, and I'll tell you what, it was just an unfortunate deal. We broke a sway bar eye, and you know, fortunately for us, Butch had a little bit of problems, and you know, we'll have to go to Nashville and wrap this thing up there, hopefully.
Kevin Sawinski, Mike Chaffee, and the guys battled back, guys, and they're still very much in the catbird seat going to the final event of the year.
Butch, this championship will move on into the last race. You finished 12th here, but it was 7 spots ahead of Kevin.
Well, that's not too bad. You know, we tried to stretch it a little bit farther than, you know, we could. And we actually, you know, we just, if you need a yellow, you can't get one. If you don't want one, they come every other lap, you know, and really our strategy was good. We had to get into our pit window for fuel, and, you know, we had 50-some laps to go. Well, we didn't know we were going to go competition yellow. We expected a quickie.
These guys aren't done yet, I promise you. Guys?
Oh, you know he will never give it up. And here is your Grease Lightning hard charger, number 25, Mike Cope. What a way to return to the series. Qualified only 28th, and where did he finish? 4th. 24 spots. He made up an absolutely awesome run for this gentleman right here. So congratulations to Mike Cope, our Grease Lightning hard charger. We have one race to go, folks. One race, and it is coming up on the 19th of October, Sunday afternoon from Nashville. So please make sure you join us. There you have it, 4 p.m. Eastern time right here on Speed. Please don't miss it because the championship will be decided and the positions behind as well. It's going to be great. Look forward to seeing you there. For Jim Trado, Rob Albright, and Ken Stout, I'm Greg Kramer. See you in Nashville.